Hello and welcome to the very 7th episode of the second newest show on the Stat Check Network. It is episode 7 of Take All Comers. I know I said last week was episode 7. I lied. This is episode 7. Fuck it, we won! Oh, it's going to be great. A lot of screaming on the front end. I'm going to be shutting up for the rest of it, so I got to get my words out now. Today is the day of all days because we have got an Orc Codex. And man, oh man, does that make some people on this podcast a little bit mean green and excited where it counts. So, like I said, my name is Tyler Bortel, and I am joined by my wonderful co-hosts. That one first. It's them. It's Lucas and Nick. And we're also joined today by a very special guest, possibly a second special guest who may arrive later. We'll see about that. But in the lower right-hand corner, we've got...
Hi, I'm Tyler Russo, also known as $1 Billion Clown Farm. Thanks for having me. What an energy. This is crazy. I became an audience member. I feel like you have like a Macho Man Randy Savage energy that washed over me. And I was just ready to be entertained and forget I'll be prompted or have to respond to what you're saying at any point.
Yeah, that wall was genuinely impressive. I feel like that
plays Orcs. Yeah, this is sick. Yeah, you guys have a fun theme song too. The countdown got me in the headspace. Yeah.
Let's go.
Thank you. Well, we're very excited to have you here. For those of you who may not have met Tyler Russo, he is a longtime orc enthusiast from Southern. You're in SoCal, right?
Yeah.
From the Southern California region. Like you said, he's got a fantastic channel over at $1 Billion Clown Farm on YouTube. They do all sorts of stuff there. Some incredible hobby games, some fantastic competitive stuff, and some music as well, which is fantastic.
It's like the music is lit.
Some college art stuff, some music. Yeah, it's like you never know. Yeah.
So we're excited to have FM on here. You've seen games featuring Tyler on this show and our previous show before, as I've gotten the honor to play against him a couple of times. We had some really fun stuff there. You may have also seen him on Art of War Down Under on their Orc faction focus recently. Also possibly joining us today will be Brian Sipe, who, if you listen to the show, you probably know who he is, member of Team USA, former member of Team Scotland, who is also an Orc enthusiast. We just try to get as much WAAGH energy in the room as we can at a time. This episode is going to be all about the new Orc decks. We have leaks of everything except points. It's currently April 13th, 2024. God, I've been saying 2023 too much recently. So we don't have points. So this is going to be a points agnostic. We're going to pretend that we keep index points. If things change radically because of that, expect future episodes to discuss that discrepancy. But that's kind of what we're going off of. We're not willing to wait. We're too excited. There's too much WAAGH going on. But before we jump into any of that, these crazy new detachments, all the stratagems, and all of the orky goodness, I got to check in with the boys. How are we doing today, Lucas?
I'm doing pretty good, to be honest with you. This week was probably the busiest week of work that I had since starting my new job in early February. So it was difficult to reconcile that with thinking about what I can do with 120 boys all week. So now that I can finally just tune out and experience a weekend of 120 model bliss, I'm very excited.
Yeah, so I've been working part-time again. I want to be unemployed again so bad. This is terrible. It's anything else to do.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So I'm feeling really excited. There's 3 detachments that I'm eagerly craving playing, and then the other ones I'm sure I wouldn't mind either. So we'll get into that over the course of the episode, but I'm doing really well. How are you doing, Nick?
Dude, I'm excited. Kind of like what Tyler was saying. Tyler Russo. The music playing got me really in the headspace. Tyler's energy this morning. I'm excited to talk about orcs. I feel like this is probably the first codex we've had released this edition where everyone in the community is excited, which is such a wonderful feeling. People are excited to talk about it. People are excited to experiment. There's a lot of positive energy going into this book and kind of a lot of positive energy in Warhammer right now. And so I appreciate that. Looking forward to it. How about you, Mr. Bortel? How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic because honestly, I'm excited about this book, but I'm probably even more excited about the new Custodes book. Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. It's a great time to be a Warhammer player. I'm sure that we'll look back on this episode with we'll think that we were so naive in a couple weeks when it turns out that orcs just obliterate everything and we all hate it. But I'm enjoying the positive vibes for the time being, having a lot of fun. Working on various projects and whatnot. I am in crunch time school-wise right now. My master's thesis is due in just a couple weeks, so we're not going to be playing a lot of Warhammer right now, but very much looking forward to whatever y'all come up with by the end of the day here. So that's going to be great. How are you doing today, Mitokayo? What's up, Tyler?
I'm good. I feel like I guess I feel like I just woke up because I did just wake up. I drank a lot of decaf before going to bed, which turns out still has trace amounts of caffeine, trace being like 25% of normal cup. So we slept like shit and having more coffee to compensate. But yeah,
Nice.
it's been fun thinking about orcs. I got a test game in yesterday too. With Boyz. They seem pretty strong. Spoiler alert. Yeah, this codex rules. I think it might be a little too strong, but we'll see. I think like or I mean we'll save this for later, I guess. But I feel like all things that seem too good at first, you can probably find counterplay somewhere too. But yeah.
Absolutely. As we saw, even though the Necrons seem like a really good army, since everyone's learned how to play against them, their win rate has fallen to a completely normal place, and they're definitely not dominating anymore. So I have full faith that the same will be true for orcs. That's sarcasm for those of y'all who aren't seeing my face. But yeah, let's get right into it, boys. There are 5 detachments in this book. Did y'all get a full 6? You got 5.
There are 6.
There's 6.
You got a full 6
There's
detachments,
6
core
that
faction
were
energy.
They're all
here.
good.
Every
Yeah.
codex.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Sweet. So I think it's been brought up a number of times. I think the place that everyone's most excited to start is talking about this bully Boyz detachment. What is going on with this that has got everyone so excited? Tyler, you've already got a game with it. Why don't you break it down for us? What is happening here? What are the units that are going to be involved? What are the rules that you're excited about? What's going on? What are the bully boys?
Hey, the thing called the WAAGH turn that everyone talks about, where you're like, damn, good thing that only lasted 1 battle round, otherwise this game would have been over. Guess what? It lasts for 2. Guess who it affects? Just Snob units and units of a war boss. Guess who it is? Your entire army, outside of Grots, who don't want to be there anyways. Like, yeah, it's like it feels crazy to me that this got printed as it did, but it's also very fun. And like I said earlier, I think you can like counterplay it with some stuff if you really try. I think it'll be hard to like hard counter. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think like it's like very, very good. People adapt to it over time, but yeah, it's gonna be a rough few weeks, I think, like out of the gate. So for people who don't know, the WAAGH gives you on paper what it gives you is advance and charge, which is great. We love that. We love +1 attack. We love +1 strength and a 5-up invuln. Those are army wide, so everybody gets that right during your first WAAGH at least. Second WAAGH, the units I mentioned earlier get it. But I feel like the thing about WAAGH is like that looks great already on paper, but then you throw into context like our friends the Meganobs, already a pretty good unit. People are taking a lot. What have we got in this codex? A 4-up feel no pain during the WAAGH, which is like essentially the vast majority of the game, in that like you're trying to functionally end the game in like 2 battle rounds, right? Probably not actually, but you're trying to inflict critical massive damage where it's like more or less over. Or if it's not like actually over, you just like reach the break point where you probably have a huge point lead and your opponent is just like going like this whenever clock slowly drains and like feeling confused and bad. So there's like some good stratagems in there too, but I think the core of it is just like the double WAAGH and Meganobs getting a 4-up feel no pain. Like Squighogs were crazy good. They have a 5-up feel no pain and felt like unkillable for certain points in like 10th. Meganobs are infantry, have a 2-up, slap real good in combat, and you can put them in trucks. You're probably taking a truck or a battle wagon of 2 units of 5 with a boss, and then you're probably taking a 6-man or so with Gaz. I think I think like the 2-man Gaz unit is probably over. Unless we just start seeing a lot of like -2 to movement and no advance everywhere, in which case Gaz is big sad. And you probably pivot that a little bit. Maybe you take 3 units in trucks at that point though, right? So it seems good. It also affects a unit with a war boss, right? Which is like often going to be knobs. But I think the sleeper unit that's like really, really good is 20 Boyz. I might start taking 2 units of 20 Boyz, each of a war boss. People are already doing this with the WAAGH banner in a battle wagon. Sean Naden is a really good player who popularized this.
Now you get it for free.
Yeah, yeah. Now you pay 0 points.
Yep.
And yeah, I can pretty easily do it on multiple units. I think knobs themselves are still good. Yeah, they might be no longer. I don't know if their points stay the same. currently they used to have a -1 to wound ability, which is now -1 if your strength is higher than them or higher than their toughness. So I feel like with that in mind, if their points don't go down, they're kind of a unit I was like more and more on the fence. But anyways, I take 2 5-mans right now. I don't think you take like huge bricks of them. Could be wrong about that, but it's my like gut instinct. But I think like, yeah, a ton of Boyz for sticky, high OC, still high damage output, still getting lethal aura by Makari within 12 inches for 2 battle rounds now. Plus like a bunch of strats that synergize with them. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about here, but that's like a broad overview of Boyz.
Yeah, what you have to remember is it's not just the 2 turns of the WAAGH, which is obviously insane and like completely game breaking because it like doubles what orcs are trying to do over the course of a game, just on a fundamental level. But it's also all of those abilities that are keyed off of the WAAGH trigger for 2 turns. So the one that everyone obviously knows at this point is that the 4 Feel No Pain on Mega Knobs is active for 2 battle rounds, but also like the Mega Boss embedded in the squad goes to damage 3 for 2 battle rounds. That's really, really good when your entire army is damaged too. The lethal hits or off of Makari triggers for 2 whole battle rounds instead of 1. That's massive. Nothing else is really coming to mind right now, but like
the War Boss goes from a 4
attacks to
casual 9.
Yeah,
Also,
that's
like,
insanity.
aren't all of your
11
stratagems
AP2
in this detachment supercharged during the WAAGH?
Yes. Yeah. So
Speaking about the WAAGH, has the WAAGH changed at all? I know some people were asking for changes.
no change.
What's it like right now?
This is better, but no. Command phase would have been cool, but it's
So it's
okay.
still start a battle round. It's still
yeah.
advance and charge.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
that's like the one thing I know that was a little disappointing.
Yeah. I think getting a double WAAGH kind of makes up for that because now you just have a throwaway WAAGH defensively if you really want to, right?
In this detachment, it's not so much of an issue.
Yeah, true. And another one's, I think like another thing that's interesting is a lot of the other ones don't need it as much. Like the Dread Mob one, I think like is a lot less reliant on WAAGH. It's still like who doesn't love advance and charge and all the stuff I just described, but like they're kind of like fine any turn if you take like certain like rocket spam builds. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah. And it's not like orcs like sucked completely with like how the WAAGH currently works, right? Like I think like they were fine and will continue to be fine in other detachments. Like the Snaggas one seems like pretty cool. And Green Tide I think is like great too. I think Green Tide will be a sleeper that'll probably become popular in like 6 months once everyone is so sad and tired of this one, or it's just like nerfed into oblivion.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Bully Boys. It'll probably be the focus of attention, and it has like a lot of great strengths, but it also has some like pretty weird weaknesses. It's basically playing as an entire army of Chosen on crack. Like,
yeah,
right. It's like 6 units of Chosen, 3 of which are unkillable, and the other 3 of which hit absurdly hard than the Knob squads. And then it's an unkillable Gaz squad. Gaz is like really, really good, and now he's super hard to kill because he's sitting behind 18 Mega Knob wounds with a 4-up Feel No Pain. But he moves 5 inches a turn. So like he is very plan aroundable, and you can kind of, he does supercharge your army with the Makari aura, but it should be somewhat manageable. I could totally eat shit for that in a couple of weeks, but
yeah,
he seems pretty reasonable.
He got some changes as well, right?
Yeah, so he picked up let's just like, I guess we can go over his data sheet from top to bottom, but basically he picked up a sweep, and on the when he's leading, he picked up an additional ability that gives him critical 5s. So basically Gazkol is a T6, 10 wound, 2-up armor, 4-up invuln war boss. He's got 6 attacks at AP3 damage 4, strength super high. So he just punches people super hard, and now he has a 12 attack sweep at 822, which is pretty darn good.
Is he still +1 to wounds? Sorry, I can't remember right now. Or did they get rid of
so
it?
he has 2 abilities. The first of which is his leader ability. While he is leading, and he can only lead Mega Knobs, his unit, including him, gets +1 to hit and +1 to wound, which is super good. And during the WAAGH, they have critical 5s. And his second ability is an aura off of Makari. It's a 12-inch aura while the WAAGH is active. All orc units, their melee weapons have lethal hits while they're within 12 inches of Makari. Also super, super good, and helps your less hitty units punch up really hard, especially those with a lot of attacks. So yeah, those are both really good. And obviously with the critical 5s from leader ability, that'll trigger on 5s the lethal hits from Makari for his unit for the duration of the WAAGH, which is really good.
Are there any like stratagems or enhancements in Bully Boys that give like sustained hits or anything like that, or no?
No, Bully Boys have no way to juice their damage other than 1 CP reroll hits during the WAAGH. Besides, there's no way to double join Gaz to a generic leader that could get an enhancement. Speaking about enhancements in Bully Boys, they're not fantastic. There are a couple that are kind of standout, though. I really like the Deep Strike. I think Deep Strike is going to be really good for an army that's, like I was saying, it's chosen in cars, right? Having something that goes outside of that paradigm and says, okay, now you also have to worry about Deep Strike screening. You also have to worry about rapid ingress. Like I could ingress 6 Mega Knobs with a War Boss, and they could just like completely take over. Is pretty backbreaking. So that's really good. Points pending on that one. It could be like 40 or 50 points and be tough to stomach, but anything less than that, and I think it's pretty automatic. And then there's also big. The other 3 are okay. I think Big Gob is really good for the same reason that, on the show I've talked about Lord of Dread, the enhancement for CK, right? Like start of the fight phase, they take a battle shock. This is the same thing. It's a start of the fight phase if they're in engagement range of the bear, so it'll be a little difficult to line up, but with how basing works in 10th edition, not impossible. They take a battle shock at -1, so this can completely mess with their ability to like use offensive strats to kill you. If they're trying to charge you and flip an objective from you, half the time it just doesn't work because they get battle shocked. So lots of cool use for this enhancement, and then also you can use that offensively, right? Like charge into them half the time they can't use AOC. Like that.
Block
That's really one I'm the most excited about. Yeah,
multi-charge.
Yep. As we go, people should be aware of the comments we're getting so we can address them. Colby does ask, does Gaz get the Feel No Pain? So yeah, while he's in a unit of Mega Knobs, he will have the Mega Knob Feel No Pain, unless I'm mistaken. Does anyone read that differently?
I'll go double check.
Yeah, so the phrasing I read was a screenshot in a different font that someone had put over the old data sheet, in which the phrasing implied that he did not, but it seems like a mistake. I feel like they're getting pretty consistent of like the models in this unit or whatever will receive X benefit. Yeah. So my guess is that.
But also like
it only
precision
happens.
Is precision is very valuable, I think, in taking out maybe a war boss from a boy squad or a mega boss from a mega squad. Gaz is thick as hell, whether he has a 4-up Film of Pain or not. Yeah. I don't think you're doing that. That being said, depending on what happens to Wraith in a couple weeks and this, it definitely seems like precision is a really great thing to have. As a bug player, lictors seem really, really good right now to be dealing with a lot of these leader giving you access to detachment rules abilities. I'm curious to see if that if people are able to dig up something in the meta that can actually deal with it that way. I think Death Marks might make a resurgence if a lot of other Necron stuff goes downhill pretty hard. It seems like y'all are pretty attached to these characters.
Yeah, I feel like the unfortunate thing about orc characters is they're really fucking hard to kill on their own. Like sniping a Mega Armor War Boss is like not easy. I think like a normal War Boss, like sure, but
even then, dude,
it's sort of like
so many
I don't know. Like we were doing the math. Like I was talking to my a good Eldar friend that I have, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Death Chesters." We're like, "Oh yeah," and we're like, "Wait, what does it actually look like?" And it's like, "Oh, it looks like they never die." It doesn't matter. I think so I could be I mean there's got to be something with precision. I mean like epic challenges
is the big thing.
But like for shooting there's got to be something too, but I'm like not thinking of now. But yeah,
with Gaz it would mean Makari can't take any ablative wounds now, right?
No, Makari is a character, so as the attacker who is assigning wounds that have the precision or like the attacks out of the precision ability, you could choose to put them on Makar if you wanted to. Is that what you're asking?
But like if you put it on Gaz, right? Now Gaz is wounded, so like when it's just Gaz and Makari, now they can't put any wounds on Makari, right?
Yes, that's right.
Like that's really the only benefit to precision in Gazgul. Like I know
Which-
Colby was asking about that.
Yeah.
Which could be good to
Sometimes
get
you
around
want the wounds on
two
Gaz and not Makari anyways too, because you want that big old banner aura for 2 turns. Like I do that a lot. Like I'll tank hits on Gaz, and I want Makari alive more. Yeah.
Also, on the topic of leaders, y'all talked about Naden had this really famous 20-man and boy squad with the War Boss and a WAAGH banner. With the WAAGH banner, I mean, out of the book, much less as necessary. Is there or someone else who can take in that slot for a double join that's worth doing? I don't know how the orc double joins work.
Yeah, Lucas, do you want to go over it or you want to? Either way.
Sure. So the only double join in the book is with units of boys. You can attach 2 characters to a unit of boys as long as one of them is the War Boss. This is just the foot War Boss, who's absurdly good, by the way. So that's not like problematic in any way, shape, or form. The foot War Boss gives you +1 to hit and gets +4 attacks during the WAAGH. So he's just very good on his own. Other characters you can attach to this squad of 20 boys. You could attach a Big Mech for a 5-up invuln. That seems pretty bad. You could attach a Pain Boy for 5-up Feel No Pain. You could attach a Weird Boy. As far as I know, you can do War Boss Weird Boy, which seems incredible because then you jump them every turn on a 2-up. So like we're back in 8th edition, boys. Let's go.
Weird Boy's gun gets crazy, right? When there's a bunch of guys.
It gets, I wouldn't say crazy. It gets funny for sure. Like he gets one shot hitting on a 4 at 10 -3 5 hazardous. Like he might obliterate one.
It's pretty sick. I think it does get if you take Green Tide and take 3 of them, it gets like more interesting, right? Because it's still not.
Yeah, you could like conceivably shoot a rhino to death with them.
Yeah,
like,
it is the kind of thing.
Realistically.
Like, this is a big tool in Warhammer too, where like if someone's like not that familiar against playing against you, just tell them that. That's like another thing they're thinking about, regardless if they should or not. Sometimes, like same with the like Iron God.
The correct move playing against the Weird Boy gun is just to completely ignore it.
Yeah,
pretend it does not exist.
Totally.
But sometimes they'll be like, "I'll hide from your Weird Boy gun," and I'm like,
right.
"Give yourself -6 to move, you fucking idiot."
You're telling me it's like a Sagittar all over again.
Yeah,
dude.
mumble through the first part and then say 5 damage really loud and clear.
What's the AP?
This
3
5 damage.
Perfect. Yeah. AP 3 5 damage. You know, just normal things.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. All right. Sweet. I don't think we've talked a lot about the stratagems. I feel like just for the sake of coverage, what do we have to work with here other than the double WAAGH? What are we getting?
Yeah, either way.
So I think the most standout one is 1 CP, reroll 1s to hit, or full rerolls if you're in the WAAGH, which is really good. It buffs your damage pretty significantly. It makes up for, you kind of have to take in context with this codex, everything we're going to be talking about. You're losing the sustained hits that you would have gotten in the war, what is it called? War Tribe? No, War Horde. So you had sustained hits in the War Horde. Now you don't have that. So all these things that you're like, oh, this sounds insane. But like, remember, it doesn't have 6s explode. So that's something to account for. So this kind of helps make up for that deficit a little bit and make sure you still get the volume of hits that you are previously having with orcs. So that's a really good stratagem. There's 1 CP AOC against shooting for Mega Knobs and Knobs. This is really, really good. It doesn't work in melee, as far as I'm aware. I haven't looked at the book, but so far all I've seen is that only works against shooting attacks, which is a significant limiter. There's kind of a cool combo. All these stratagems are really good, so I don't know how often you're going to get to pull off this 2 CP combo. But there's 1 CP pile in D3 +3 for Mega Knobs or Knobs. And then 1 CP when your opponent falls back, they have to Desperate Escape. And if it's during the WAAGH, it's at -1.
And so by the way, that console's flat 6 during the WAAGH.
Right, yeah. So if you're in the WAAGH turn, you charge their screen, you kill it, you pile into their tank, and then you're like, okay, you're going to fall back? I'll spend a CP, coin flip, your giant tank is dead. Or even better, like you have a squad of Eradicators or Wraith Blades or Wraith Guard, and remember, Mega Knobs are super tanky, so like it's not like a punch of unit's going to kill them in one go. The edge of your Terminator units choosing to fall back. Okay, 5 of them just died. Also, like if you don't fall back for me, you're not going to shoot my Mega Knobs, so I'll just chill here, invincible for a turn.
We also have a 1 CP fight on death, which is not so. Yeah, like that on 20 boys is really cool. It's on a
I
3
hadn't
up.
even thought about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
during
That's
the
what I've
WAAGH,
been
yeah.
excited about. That's why I think the boys are good. Yeah. So it's during WAAGH turn it's a 3 up. Outside of WAAGH turn it's a 5 up. You never do it outside of WAAGH turn. You never do anything outside of WAAGH turn. Outside of WAAGH turn, you talk out the game in your favor or in your opponent's favor, and then like it's like over.
Nice.
So typically, I think that's what you do outside of WAAGH turn. Yeah. So yeah, it's a 3 up fight on Def though. Like that's so like I was my opponent yesterday. She kept being like, okay, so like we're doing like XYZ, and then like how many CP do you have? I'm like 3. She was like, okay, cool. So you can like fight on Def or interrupt, right? But not both. And I was like, well, about that. And yeah, 3 CP is a lot more common than 4. I think 4 is pretty hard to set up for a lot of the time, at least. Like it's you do that. It's not impossible, but 3 is like easy. That's easy mode. You're playing fixed. You're still probably gonna have 3 CP all the time if you really try, right? So
Grots are still jamming CP like they always did.
yep, same ability. They not if they're battle shocked now. Ooh, watch out for that. Yeah.
Also,
it's the only change.
Speaking of your 20-man boys unit, that might be a good use for that. The mortals on the charge stratagem as well.
That is knobs and mega knobs only.
I thought it was knobs.
Oh, is that
Yeah. A lot of the so there are you kind of have to pay attention to which things are tied to like the detachment is war bosses, knobs, and mega knobs. A lot of the stratagems are tied to knobs and mega knobs data sheets. And this is something you'll see throughout the workbook is a lot of the rules are tied to specific data sheets. For example, in a minute, we'll start talking about Green Tide, but the entirety of that detachment, for the most part, is tied to the Boyz data sheet. There are a couple exceptions, but like basically everything is just for this one type of unit.
Sweet. And there are no, now that the WA banner is gone, there are no knobs that join things anymore. No handing out that keyword accidentally.
No.
Tragic.
Thank God. Knobs as characters was stupid.
Do you know if like I don't know, there's a knob sergeant if that adds the knobs keyword or no?
No, I don't.
Having a boss knob in the unit shouldn't add a keyword. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. I don't know if that like. I mean, we haven't seen.
It would be very funny
WAAGH
though,
data
for
sheet.
everyone. Yeah. Sure, they could, but I feel like it's like very intentionally phrased that way so that they don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you have a war boss in these units, like I think the only one they really don't benefit from is the Mega Knob Tank Shock. Like I think the rest they can use as long as they have a war boss. So
nice,
cool, sweet. So this play style of I have a bunch of dudes that are really tanky and jam up into your face, like we've seen this around, right? This looks like Wraiths, this looks like Custodies. The thing that I think, especially at the top end, and that we were finding with both of those builds, is that Wraith need Doomstalkers and Custodies need Calladii. What is the shooting support for this build to keep it from being ultra one-dimensional, or is it just that good at being one-dimensional?
We don't know if it's that good at being one-dimensional, but there is no shooting support.
Yeah,
as far as I'm aware.
The support is you move twice as fast and have twice as many as either of those other armies.
The shooting support is you shoot Mega Knobs into their DZ, dude.
I think a lot of it is going to come down to how much mileage you can get out of your, depending on the cost of Mega Knobs, obviously. If they go up a lot in points, it'll completely change what Bully Wars are trying to do. But if they're currently as undercosted as they are in the index, it's trying to get as much mileage out of them for as cheap as possible, so that the rest of your army that's like all of the other points that you saved can just like score all the points possible and win. So this is why, like, you know, people that are like, oh, you got to take the Mega Mech to revive a Nebganog. I'm like, that's not worth 90 points to me. That's 3 whole Mega Knobs that you're buying to revive 1 Mega Knob. Like, I get the utility of the extra charge and all that kind of charge distance and that kind of stuff, but it's just not worth it to me. Honestly, I think just taking 18 with 0 characters, maybe you attach one of the squads to Gaz, is totally fine. Like, just rely on the strength of your data sheet. Go jam them into your opponent, create as many problems as possible. If they all die and don't do that much damage, that's totally fine if you caused a ton of havoc for like 3 turns and you scored every single point. You start the game with 80 points on turn 3, they're probably not catching you.
Yeah, I agree. I think you still want a war boss with them. I think the war boss in Mega Armor is like really good. He goes to damage 3 in WAAGH, right? He's no slouch. He gives them +1 to hit. But yeah, like you said, I think it's not mandatory. I think like just taking 18, even without gas potentially, is like pretty cool. I can see that working too.
Yep.
It just changes what role they fill in your list.
Yep.
Sweet. Well, if we can't have shooting, do we have something else that prevents standing? How are like Storm Boys looking? What can get over and around screens?
You can by killing them.
Fair enough.
And
All
then
right.
you have your second WAAGH and you just do it again. Yeah. There's Stormboys are good. We do have them. They advance in charge without having to take a hazardous test, which never really mattered, but now you don't have to feel guilty when you realize you forgot to roll last turn. It's like about all it does. Yeah, I feel like I don't know, for screen, like there's some stuff you can take, but I feel like you're like all infantry, right? And then you have double WAAGH turn. So now, I mean, like that's great, but it also means you can just send stuff in waves. Like you send 20 boys in your first WAAGH, maybe everybody else just like hangs back in some matchups, right? And then you do the rest of the gang, depending on how many screens there are and what the mission is and what the matchup's like, right? But I think yeah, you're just extending the game by having a second WAAGH. It doesn't mean you get to do like max combat twice in a row. Sometimes it means that you now don't have to feel like you wasted your WAAGH when you would have otherwise, because you do something that's like still important, and it's like just a big setup turn for your following WAAGH, which is like the actual one.
Yep.
I think like, yeah, there's like tank shock is good. We still have wrecking balls, we think, which are like strength 10 and yeah, pretty good at just doing like pinch mortals. All the knobs have grenades. You're like probably often using those CP for other things, especially in like melee mirrors. But like if like it's a shooting matchup or something you just really need to do mortals to, there's like a lot of ways to do that. So
yeah, both the mortals
yeah.
on the charge strat in this detachment and the mortals on the charge in the Snagga detachment, which I think was about time we move on to another detachment. But, the both of those get a lot better when you realize that the units you're going to use them on already have grenades. So it's like, yes, you can 1 CP do some mortals, but you can also 2 CP do like 9 or 10 mortals, and that's much better.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's
Well, let's break into it. Let's break into it then. You're talking about Snaggas. I think that Snaggas are probably the thing that I've heard the second most hype about from people who don't have obsessions with making their model count as high as it can be. What does Snaggas bring to the table here?
Nick, why don't you? Do you have some of this committed to memory? At least the
I got it up on
the
my
detachment
screen.
rule.
Brother.
Why don't you take us through this? Because I know you're a fan of the Beast Snaggas.
I love the Beast Snaggas, dude. So happy they're good. Yeah. So their main detachment rule is called "The Hunt is On," and so some people have been calling this like orcs of moment or some shit, you know. So basically, what it is yeah, something like that. At the start of your command phase, you're going to select a monster, vehicle, or warlord unit in your opponent's army. If they don't have any of them on the battlefield or embarked within a transport that is on the battlefield, you can select a character unit from your opponent's army instead. And then until the start of your next command phase, that enemy unit is your prey. And you've got a lot of different rules that key off of your prey. The main ones that come with just this detachment rule is whenever a beast Snagga unit from your army declares a charge that includes your prey unit as at least one of the targets, you get to reroll charges into the targets of the charge. And whenever they make a attack, ranged or melee, that targets the prey, they get to improve the AP by 1. So that's the hunt, dude.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm very like whelmed by those rules, but the detachment itself has a lot of like enhancements and stuff that makes like I think the Beast Snag units are just good in like a lot of different detachments. I think they're good in Bully Boys too, because like the Beast bosses allegedly have the War Boss keyword. Same with the Squigosaur, I think, which is pretty sick. But yeah, they have some like really good enhancements, and I think their stratagems are cool. I'm kind of
go over some of them.
I'm trying to remember. I know their enhancements are really good. Yeah.
But before we break into some of the more specifics in that detachment, I feel like there were a couple core changes to the way that the Beast Snag units work that like really shape how the lens that you see these stratagems and such through. Lucas, can you tell us what changed about Hogs?
Yeah, so just as an overall first thing, let's go over the units that are Beast Snaggas. You've got Beast Snagga boys, who can be joined by the Foot Boss and the Paint Boss. We've got the Hog Riders, Squig Hog Boys. We've got the Knob on Smasher Squig, who is now a sergeant for the Squig Hog Boys. So the Squig Hog Boys, instead of like 3 to 6, they now go 4 to 8. And then there's the Beast Boss and Squigosaur, the generic Boss on Squig. There's Mazrog, the named Boss on Squig. There's Zodgrod Wartsnagga, the guy who fiddles the Gretchen. And then is there anybody else I'm forgetting? I think that's it. Oh no, there's the Hunter Egg and Killrig as well. So, like Tyler was alluding to, there's been a change to how Squig Hog work, basically. The Knob on Smasher Squig, instead of being a separate character, is now a sergeant for the squad. Thank God. It never made sense that it was separate. So now you can have Squig Hogs in squads of 4 or in squads of 8, and they can be joined by a Squig Boss. So the Squig Boss got -2 wounds, or -1 wound, -2 toughness, so it was a little bit easier to kill. Both him and Mazrog got that, and they also got their Feel No Pain bumped from a 4 to a 5 up. So they are much squishier, but they're going to be buried behind 8 pigs with the 5 up Feel No Pain. So they will be much harder to reach in turn, which I think overall is a significant durability bump, because they won't just get
They also
singled out and
change.
scammed away Meltas.
Yeah, they also changed from monster to mounted, which is pretty decent because there's quite a lot of anti-monster out there in the game. And I don't think there's like any anti-mounted.
Yeah, including
also even
now an
even
issue.
before, even before you think about the anti keyword, a monster joining a unit of non-monsters, I can tell you as a Tyranid fan, messes with a lot of shit, right? If he were still a monster, you'd be able to shoot at that combat while it were in combat, which would be a big no-no.
True. Yeah, this would that.
Right,
no
like,
wonder they changed it. And even that.
That's a huge.
That
change.
would be a problem.
Also, like if they ever drop Bring It Down, it's like get wrecked, idiot. Can't score. Killing me now.
Totally.
Yeah. So overall, this detachment rule, I feel like, it's kind of the opposite of Bully Boys. I feel like the stratagems and enhancements here are the real sauce, and then the detachment like looks amazing, and yeah, it will be nice when it lines up, but it's just very awkward because it only benefits a couple of units, and the buff is really good, but like your opponent has all the control over it, right? So like if they don't have any vehicles or other warlords sitting in the back, then you just don't get a detachment ability, which blows a fat one. Yeah, if they're playing Imperial Knights or Chaos Knights, it's insane. So
we enter the double Knight Porphyrion detachment, it's gonna go crazy when everybody's running 2 Knight Porphyrions and a Crusader, it's gonna be nuts. Yeah.
I mean,
if people are wanting to play like mid-board monsters and vehicles, then this shit is very, very good.
Kind of the meta right now, though, right?
That being said, that sounds real good into a world of Catan and Calladii and Rhinos and Predators and Sagittars. Like Land Raider Redeemers, Dread Knights.
It is very good in the Land Raider Redeemer. That much is fair.
The meta is mechanized right now, and I think that especially with Custodes falling off a cliff, a lot of people are going to like cars these days. So
I do agree with you though. Like compared to Bully Boys, which like seems kind of straightforward on paper, but there's actually a lot of depth to it. Just with like the amount of War Boss keyword units you can create, this detachment's a lot more limited in that like you have to play only Beast Snagga things, and also like what you're saying, Lucas, your opponent can kind of control your detachment ability.
Yeah. You're only getting all the stratagems and keyword stratagems and enhancements are also like Beast Snagga only, basically. So your boys and Mega Knobs and Knobs and Storm Boys are surviving off the strength of their own data sheet. And like, you might take some of those just to like screen or score points or whatever, but they're not doing anything other than that.
And also like all of your stratagems get better if you're going after the prey. So like better hope that prey is a good target.
Yep.
Should we talk about some of the stratagems?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's break it down.
There's some really good ones here, kind of like in Bully Boys. They did the thing like CSM had this, right, where the stratagems had an effect but got better when you had the appropriate mark. Now, like a lot of the orc detachments are, you have a base effect that's mid, and then once you use it in the appropriate way, like in Green Tide, if you have a big unit, or Snaggas if you hit the prey, or Bully Boys, if you're in the WAAGH, like they get a supercharged effect that's very strong. So the Beast Snaggas have that as well, and it's all keyed off of the prey. So the first one of these that's based on the prey is 1 CP sustained hits, and then critical 5s if you're hitting the prey. So really, really good because we're missing out on sustained hits from the Warhorde. Pick it back up with this stratagem, especially now that the squig units are huge, right? Like you've got a unit of 9 hogs. That's tons and tons of damage to attacks. Layering on extra hits with the normal anti-monster with +1 AP, it's like, yeah, I don't care that you're a land raider that AOC. To take 40 saves at AP 2/2 damage, you're fucking dead. Which is really, really cool. I like that a lot. So that's a really, really good stratagem. The second one that I think is sleeper insane is 1 CP. If you can advance and charge the prey or fall back and charge the prey. That's really, really good because this attachment only has 1 WAAGH and it has units that move 10. So moving 10 plus D6 instead of then charging is really, really nuts.
Yeah.
And also, Zodgrod Wartsnagga is a V-Snagga unless that changed in the codex. So this scout unit of Gutchin that's already really, really good at move blocking up your opponent can be like, hey, that random land speeder or that random car over there in your deployment zone. I went first. I scout 9. I move 6 plus D6 or however much. They move super fast because they're super runts or whatever. 1 CP, advance and charge the prey, unless I'm missing a keyword or something in here. I wrap your rhino and lock you in your deployment zone. I have 27 hogs staged in the midboard. Pass to you.
Yeah.
Seems
I think
insane to me.
Yeah. I also want to point out like kill rig shooting is like not bad and benefits from this too. That's like something that's like pretty great in this context. I think like if there's no good target you have for prey this turn, you can at least just like throw kill rigs at them and hope for the best. It's nice to have a little bit of shooting, assuming those are still like reasonably costed and otherwise unchanged.
Yep.
Yeah. There are some great shots in here.
Oh, he doesn't have a keyword in the index. That is so
Oh
sad.
no!
Bring it back, dude.
Damn, rip the dream.
Bring it back.
It is weird. He's like very clearly a Beast Snagga, but I don't know. He didn't come in the Beast Snagga box.
He does have a Snagga stick. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
Oops.
Is there any, do we know if there's anything in that stratagem that requires that you only charge the prey?
That's so
Like,
nope.
I don't.
Does that just unlock the
No, that was the other thing I was excited about.
rhino in the front? Oh,
Yeah.
everyone's getting charged now?
Yeah, we don't know for sure, but I think you can. The way the phrasing is reiterated in ways that might not be real by people online seems to imply that you can multi-charge and
you
get
can.
fire of a prey and then also XYZ and then.
And also, like, at the very
detachment
least,
ability
it's
does
10th
that.
edition, so like you can probably swing it anyway. And hit when you didn't charge. But yeah, that's
so cool about the detachment ability. Is like as long as the prey was one of your charge targets, like you can multi-charge. So you basically can use the rhino as like a slingshot to unlock Here We Go, which is
that sounds like some just fantastic gameplay and some really interesting back and forth once everyone kind of gets used to it. I hope that this becomes the detachment because I think it has a lot of back and forth, unlike Bully Boys, which sounds like it's gonna bully people. Sweet. Anything else? There's some mortal wounds here in a stratagem. What's going on with that? You
Yeah.
seemed excited about it a minute ago.
Yeah,
there's a go ahead.
you 1 CP. Is it a mortal on a? Yeah, it's mortal on a 4-up. When you charge a unit of mounted Beast Snaggas, and you add 3 if you're charging the prey. Add 3 dice. So
Yeah.
if you charge 9 hogs into a screen or something like that, and well, the screen won't be the prey, but like you'll roll 9 dice and every 4-up's immortal, or you can charge some big soup tank thing. Maybe it's a half damage. It's a Nightbringer or a Avatar of Cain who you're concerned about because he halves damage or something like that. Bam, slam 12 dice on him every 4-up's immortal. That's some pretty good damage.
Well, and also like you get to they have the grenades keyword and they have squig bombs, so like you can throw a lot of mortals at a target before you even fight it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could do some goofy stuff like also like mortal a target, kill it, go punch a target behind it,
Yep.
Yeah, Bomb Squig's unchanged. I haven't looked at them yet.
I haven't either, but I would assume so.
Yeah.
The what?
And a normal
Squig
move.
hogs?
bomb squig.
Yeah. Squig bomb is normal move, but it's a 2-up into every target now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was just asking if they're the same. Which you saying that
you can't advance into it or fall back into it.
Yeah, it's the same.
Unfortunately.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no changes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Water all over
Alrighty. Now, I think we should probably move on to talk about the detachment that everyone is the most excited about. The one that I know Lucas is most excited about. Sorry, we done? Nick,
Should we talk about the enhancements real quick or no?
Oh, yeah, those are really important.
Yeah, the enhancements are
There's like
like
2 that are insane.
I think they are kind of what makes the detachment good.
Yeah.
Too.
Okay.
There's a Squigosaur boss only. Give your unit scouts 9. So one of those Squighog boy units can sprint up the board instantly. And then there's the best one is a -1 to wound for the Squigosaur boss's unit, provided the strength is greater than toughness. So like you have 1 unit of pigs that's like only being wounded on 4s, basically.
You're either not wounding me well, or you were going to try to wound me well, and now you're not wounding me well.
Yeah.
Like, yikes.
The other 2 are cool. There's like sticky objectives, end of command phase, and +1 damage on melee weapons, but like they're fine. It's you have extra points, you probably get them, but
sweet. Okay. Cool. We good now to move on?
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, let's talk about the detachment Lucas is most excited about, the one that everyone is going bananas about on the internet. It's the Dread Mob. Why our grot tanks are new overlords, Tyler? I know Lucas doesn't want to hear shit about it.
Well, I want to hear why Lucas's reaction so
because I just railed it real hard.
I feel like I've been getting mad at grot tanks for like 6 months. And everyone tells me to play them, and then I have to like explain for much longer when they're interested in talking to me why I think that's a bad idea. But now I think it's actually a good idea, and I think they're like super good. I think grot tanks were like a good unit that synergized poorly with just about anything you could pair them with. They're like fine shooting, but like didn't conform to the like WAAGH tribe game plan. I feel like they usually just kind of end up being like tagged or like not as good as like just forward pressure. Yeah, now they're sick that you have a layer of 18 kilocans in front of them and up to 120 grots, which you probably want. The list that I built is like, I think it's like 12 grot tanks, like 70 grots, 18 kilocans, and then like it doesn't really matter from there. I think like just like access to their stratagems are so good and seem to be implied to work with like, you know, like a death shred or whatever. But if you just use it on like a squad of 6 kilocans in combat or shooting, I think their only real weakness is GW fixed. That's like what I think like will actually make this attachment like maybe not as good. I think like with the Frontline Gaming reign of here's some boards from like 10 years ago that we designed for 7th edition, like have fun alternating placing them with your opponent, becoming less of a tournament staple even out here in like Southern California. Fixed is a bit tougher to navigate like upwards of like 36 vehicles through, but still pretty good. I
was going to say, I feel like GW layouts are probably the ideal place for this kind of army.
Really?
Obscuring terrain that you can move through is so good, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess you're right. I think you're probably right in like true GW as opposed to like a bastardized approximation of the local game stores use, where like it's like trying to be GW, but the routes maybe aren't as like easy to walk through. I think
a lot of like
for this, but yeah, I think maybe you're right. I think like it's
you think about like GW4, which I feel like is kind of the default build these days. People play that on everything, right? Yeah. Those L's right there with a 4x6 that you can just walk straight through. Yeah. Right, those are incredible staging points like this. Let's talk a little about the actual details, though. What is the Dread Mob? What does it do? Why does it make grot tanks?
That's a good
something that
thing
everyone
to
wants
talk
to
about.
own.
What are we talking about? We're talking about Dread Mob. So 3 big things. You get to push that button, whatever. There's a button being pushed. I forget the exact phrasing. But when you push the button, you get to choose an ability and take a hazardous test or roll on a random chart. What you could get is, I think it's on a 1 or a 2. I don't know the numbers. Won't pretend to know. You get sustained, lethal, or +2 AP. And you're probably always choosing. You get dark packs for orcs, but also the option of +2 AP, more or less. It's like, it's Grot's doing dark packs.
It is
that'd be a fun
AP
army.
on critical wounds.
Sorry, what is it?
Plus 2 AP on critical wounds.
On critical wounds. Oh, really? Okay, never mind. That's less good than I thought.
Yeah,
It's
plus
still
2
very
AP
good,
would just
but-
be insane.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. I was excited for AP4 rockets. This makes a lot of sense. But it's still good. Yeah.
Remove your tank.
Situationally.
So yeah, you can roll randomly, or you can pick but gain hazardous. And then there's a separate clause that says if you already have hazardous from another ability, either your gun is natively hazardous or you use one of the many stratagems in this attachment that makes your guns hazardous, then you fail your hazardous check on a 1 or a 2.
Yeah.
Double hazardous.
Which mathematically comes similar to like kill can crisis states, I think. I think we're like in about that territory.
Yeah, they're rolling more dice but failing fewer of them type of thing.
Yeah.
You're also like shooting fewer guns, right? Like 6 Killicans shoot 6 guns.
Yeah.
6 Grot Tanks shoot 6 guns. So
As
like,
opposed
if
to
you
crisis,
push
which
it-
is like 18. Yeah, but you found a 1 or a 2 instead of just the 1. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's still
And
better to be
these-
Grot, but yeah, you'll blow yourself up like an okay amount of time, but not that bad. I think you'll probably, often lose like a whole kill cannon in activation though.
These tanks are what, like 4 or 5 wounds? So we're talking 2 failed hazards to kill 1?
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, is it 5? I don't remember right now. I
Grot
know.
tanks are funny.
Yeah.
They actually come in squads of 8, and they get 10 guns because every 4 tanks get to take 2 guns.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, and they're
What
5.
the
They're 5 wounds.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fourth one gets a double gun because that's how it's modeled. It's like a commando and a tank or something. And he's got
Yep.
like 2 gun slots.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Yeah, Grot tanks have 5 wounds. And kill cans.
Hilarious. So you're taking 10 hazard checks, but also like you don't need to kill the double gun guys because they're not separate. It's all the same rolls.
Yeah, you just
Yep.
leave them.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I
what
think
gun are we taking on these things?
Rockets.
For sure.
Rockets,
Just always
1000%.
rockets. Like, don't ask any other. Yeah, the Grotzukas are like maybe okay on Killicans. You could take
I've
like
seen
a
some people
unit
talk
if you
about
want. But like, I think rockets are like actually just what you take all the time, and you get excited about Grotzukas for like a month, and you're like, that's enough of that, and then you're glad that you didn't remodel them yet. You just go back to rockets. Yeah. I think like the Grot tanks are good, but they do just kind of do that, like what you just described. They shoot a million rockets and then they like run away if you get too close to them, which is like good. But kill cans, if you run too close to them, they just like slap you back with their potentially damage 4, I think, claws if you use the strat on them.
Yeah.
So I think like kill cans are where it's at in this detachment. This is just like the
You
kill can
know,
detachment to me.
the Killican data sheet ability. I just learned it.
Yeah, it's good. Or it's
Yeah.
funny. I don't know if it's good, but I like it. It's
You
good.
wanna read
It
it,
feels good in my heart. I don't know if mechanically it's good or not. Do you want to read it?
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm sure that everyone is learning this at the same time I am, besides Mr. Tyler Russo, who knows Killicans by heart. Their data sheet ability is called Shooty Power Trip. Whenever they're selected to shoot, you can roll a d6. On a 1, the nearest other friendly orc unit within 12 invisible takes d3 mortals. Cool. On a 2-up, you get ignore cover.
Yeah. So they actually changed this in the codex. I thought that's what. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it's still hopefully called
Sad.
Shooty Power Trip because it's just like so funny. That was like the thing. I was like really sad about 10th when I saw that rule, and I was like, maybe there's hope for the future when the edition first launched.
What did they
like,
change it to?
Oh, it's even weirder.
Yeah, it's really weird. You could take like D6 mortals. You could.
Yeah, you roll a d6.
Yeah, you
on
have
a
it in
1
front
through
of
2,
you.
you take d6 mortals on your unit.
Yeah.
On a
Just
3 or
like
4,
the
you
can
also
unit
have-
itself, not the nearest
Yeah,
visible.
The can unit
Okay.
just takes d6 mortals.
Yeah.
On a 3 or 4, it's +1 strength, and on a 5 or 6, it's +1 attack with ranged weapons.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
So-
funny that a
and they're
third of the time you
they're
kill
blast
yourself. but-
rockets. You're getting +1 attack. You can get +1 to wound monsters and vehicles. Yeah, it all adds
The
up.
downside is a third of the time you're like killing a can before
Yeah.
you fire.
I don't know if it's a downside.
Well,
I
maybe
think
not.
it's
It
awesome.
is. There are 5 wounds and it's d6 mortals.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Hilarious.
Yeah, the stratagems are what make this detachment really
Okay,
good.
yeah.
Which
Yeah,
are-
the-
Sorry, so let's hear about it. What are the stratagems?
The
yeah,
3
like-
best ones, in my opinion, I think there's 2 damage ones. One is for shooting and one is for melee. So each one has a base effect and then an extra effect if you push it, and if you push it, it gains hazardous. So in shooting, there's 1 CP +1 to wound if you push it +1 damage. Is that right, Tyler?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so it's like-
yeah, and there's a +1 damage in the fight phase too.
Yes.
The,
So yeah,
yeah,
the
bigger
fight
shows
phase
for bigger
one.
gets the one you're talking about, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, +1 to
And
wound, monsters
the
and
fight
vehicles
phase
and +1
one
to wound.
is +2 strength, and then if you're pushing it, +1 damage as well.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
those are really good. Oh, there's also, oh my god, there's another shooting one. So there's 1 CP, reroll ones to hit, and if you push it, you get full rerolls to hit.
Yep.
So like hypothetically, if you wanted to spend 2 CP on a unit of Grot tanks, you choose hazardous, you choose sustained hits, you full reroll to hit with the Daka stratagem. I think it's actually called Daka. And then
Yep.
you 1 CP +1 to wound +1 damage, and all of a sudden you're shooting strength 9, AP2, 4 damage, full roll to hit, sustained hit, +1 to wound.
If you have 3 CP and you really want to, you can also give them reroll advance rolls and range weapons gain assault.
Yeah, that one's really
So-
good. That one might be Walker Tide, or does it work on Grot vehicles?
It looks Walker side from
yeah,
here.
that's what you want it on, so it's fine. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess you could use it on Grot tanks. I was thinking on Killicans though, because they're just like slow little guys that you want to get up forwards anyways. You want them to get up the board and then have a WAAGH turn where they get to advance, charge, and then also shoot. So that's why I think.
Yeah,
it's good.
that's a really good stratagem for using your entire unit in one turn instead of like the usual. I move up, shoot something to hell, and then I don't have a charge target.
Yeah.
I think that one is like the one that doesn't hazardous you.
Super Guard spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a
Also,
long
there's a
time
Grot
like
only one.
Orc Walker fan, I'm just glad Killicans are like good for the first time in like a decade plus. Like they're so nuts. They're really good at like the end of 9th. And that was like quickly taken away when 10th started. That was a big sad. And yeah, I think I own like 12 of them, and I get to get 6 more now. It's crazy. Imagine needing to buy more than 12 Killicans. Like,
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
for like a real reason too. Yeah.
There's
Okay,
also
so
all sorts of like. Go ahead.
I was just walk me through what this list actually looks like. Like we have some very good rules that supercharge a particular sort of profile.
Yeah.
We're taking 18 cans, we're taking 24 Grot tanks, and then just like stuff. Like what's happening here?
Yeah, I built a list.
You can try to take like some mech units to do the hazardousing on like mechs joined to Ludas, but I think that's just like too cute. Like why try to like take a shooting unit, make a shooting unit work when that's not its like intended purpose, like it obviously is for Grot tanks and Killicans. So I think that's bad. I think just tons of Gretchen, Storm Boys, War Bikers to zoom around. Honestly, you could buy like a bunch of trucks because transports are just good. Trucks to like carry Gretchen, I'm not even kidding, to like go flip objectives from people that are hiding behind walls. Because like obviously a obvious weakness to a army that moves 6 and then shoots you giga hard is like just don't let that happen to you. Like don't let them see you.
Yeah.
So depositing 21 OC on objectives for super low amounts of points to flip primary and force your opponent to feel uncomfortable and start coming after you is going to be really important, I feel like. So just cars full of dudes to go flip points is going to be really important.
Yeah, I feel like it's very easy to get distracted being like, oh yeah, there's so much like shooting here, but like, it's an all vehicle list. If only there was a codex that you could use this alongside that's like mostly insane infantry, but it's very, very good in combat. And then then you remember that knobs and mega knobs exist and you can use them in this list too. What I'm building is like not that because I'm excited about Grot tanks at Killicans, and then I'll have like a game where I lose and I'm sad, and then go back to something balanced. But
I think that's a great core, but it has to be like peripheral elements. I think Storm Boys, for example, are one of the units that gets 0 buffs from any detachment other than War Tribe, War Horde, but should be taken in basically every list, or at least could be. Like it's very good in all of them, right? A 65-point unit of dudes who goes and does area denial, or goes and cleanses, or goes and screens your opponent is super good, regardless of what detachment it's in.
Mine's like I really want to try War Boss and Mega Armor. Assuming points are the same or similar. Just War Boss and Mega Armor and Zodgrot as your only characters. Then a truck, which carries the War Boss and his Mega Nob friends. 70 Gretchen, 20 of which go with Zodgrot. The rest are just like 10 mans. 3 units of Grot tanks, all 3 mans, or 4 rather. 3 units of 6 Killicans, and then 2 Stormboy units. I think that like feels like a good place to start, and then like you add or remove things from there.
That's hot. I like that.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's hot too.
That sounds hype.
Yeah.
What I think I'm gonna ask the question that is on some people's minds. Is there any hope for the giant orc walkers? Is the Gorkanaut, are they finally good?
I think the
Or are they
Gorkanaut's
still bad?
okay. I made a list that has I made a couple lists actually that have 2 Gorkanauts in them. Mostly because the same reason why you asked that question though. There's a big teddy bear one back there that you can see.
Nice.
Maybe I have a lot of like just weird vehicles that I'm excited to use again. So like I think the Gorkanauts are like decent. And you see all the cute stuff it can do, like, oh, it's +2 damage and +1 damage and reroll hits and etc. And then you're like, oh, what if that was just kill cans? What if that was just on kill cans instead? And then you realize it's
if you really miss Captain Badrock and Flash Kits, you can definitely do that same unit by supercharging a Gorkanaut.
Yeah,
but it also costs 2 CP, right?
Yeah, it does.
For
reroll hits and +1 damage together.
Oh yeah, for real to hit. Yeah.
Do Gorkanauts still have a sizable transport capacity?
They do. I think that's the best thing they have going for them as like something you might want to take them for. You put Mega Knobs or
models.
I think it's 12 actually. Maybe I'm wrong.
The fuck? I thought it was 6.
Maybe you're right.
No, currently it's 12. Yeah.
Yo,
it was 6 back in like 7.
Yeah, you're right. It used to be 6 like a long time ago, but yeah, it's a 12.
Tells you how long it's been.
So you could pack your 5 Mega Knobs with a Mega Boss in that.
Whatever you put in the truck, you put in the Gorkanaut. It's like you could do double knob if you really wanted to. You could put 10 boys in a War Boss. That's what my list had. Yeah, if I did double Gorkanaut, it'd probably be 10 boy War Boss and then Mega Knobs in the other one. Which is pretty good. Then you still have 18 kill cans, I think, or like 12 upwards. Yeah, you want a lot of kill cans no matter what.
I mean, this detachment sounds fun.
Yeah, right.
It's there's like a legit dread mob detachment. Like, yeah, it does sound like you might blow your entire army up your first shooting phase, but also you might blow up your opponent's entire army.
Yeah, so. Yeah, it rules. It's so sick.
I'll need to see what this feels like to get shot by, but looking at the numbers here, it seems very good without being an oppressive amount of shooting. Like this army isn't out shooting Ironstorm, right? Yeah. Like it just shoots comfortably hard.
It does out melee Land Raider though. The combat is good for the kill cans too, and it can be even better with strats. So I think that's why they're good. The shooting's great, but it's expensive CP wise, but they're hard to kill.
You're on the right track too with the killicans. I think the downside a lot of people are gonna find with the 24 grot tanks is like, oh my god, someone came up and touched my army. Like I don't have any punching.
Yeah. Move away when they move towards you is good until suddenly they're faster than like 9 inches or whatever it is. Is it a 6-inch reactive move or 9? Do you remember, Lucas?
It's a 6
for grot tanks. 6, yeah.
Cool. I assume this is still John. Chimes in and says, mechs feel like 8th CSM, where you can make literally any unit good by just funneling all your resources into it. That suite of stratagems that Russo was listing off there on turning that unit up to 11 definitely seems like each of these units is a bullet. It fires once, and then we'll kind of see what happens to it later.
You kind of got to be careful, though, because a lot of these are like grot vehicle tied or walker tied. So some of the buffs will work on mech units, but not all of them.
Yeah, for sure.
I think
all the enhancements are mech, but
all the enhancements are only
bad.
And I mean, some of them would be good if like a mech could join kill cans.
Yeah, if a mech could join a squad of vehicles, that would be nutso.
Yeah,
like giving them. There's one that's like 15 points, ignore cover. Like this should be busted on any unit of vehicles in your army, but the best thing you could join is Ludas, which is like okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I think like 3 mech guns is okay. I can see a place for that long term, but they feel like their current points are like kind of a bit for what they do. I think I'd rather just take other stuff, but like I don't hate like a shock attack gun in 3 and one of these. Like probably
especially with the KMK getting nerfed was like pretty sad, unfortunately.
Yeah. If those are the same, I would take them, but AP1 is tough.
Even if it went down. It went from AP3 to AP1. It's like
it's not.
Or no,
not
it
great,
it might have been AP2. Either way.
Yeah, Smash Gun is like D3 +1 shots now, at least I think. It's AP3, right?
Yeah, AP3
+3. So that ignoring covers, like, it's okay, but there's just like so much other good stuff in the book, like the mechs and dread specific things, but also just in the book in general, right? It's like
Yeah.
It's like you get excited about mech guns and you're like, oh yeah, that could be Mega Knobs. So then you suddenly don't care anymore. Yeah.
What is the repair situation like here? Are mechs and big mechs putting these boys back together? What are the mechanics for that?
You take no characters so that your opponent doesn't double dip, bring it down, assassinate, and then you just go salute as they all go boom, turn one. Yeah, I think it's just
enough.
with no hope of recovery. I mean, I think like you could repair a Gorkanaut, right? Maybe.
I genuinely just would like to know what is the mechanic for repair?
Oh,
what are we weighing?
What are the rule?
Mech
Yeah,
seal
sure.
for 1, big mech seal for D3. It's like it's fine.
Yeah.
If you're playing a Gorkanaut, you probably bring a mech. He's 45 points.
Yeah, you do. For the Gorkanauts, you
gives
take
plus
2
1 to
mechs.
hit.
If you take 2 Gorkanauts, you take 2 mechs. Yeah, plus 1 to hit, real good. And then repair is like fine.
And he gets loan up nearby the vehicle, right? So he's
Yep,
just
he's
basically
just-
following the Gorkanaut.
Yeah,
around.
exactly. And he becomes like an
Safe.
action monkey. He does stuff.
I am very enticed by this enhancement, the super glowy thing.
It's
Yeah, that
so
one's pretty
bad,
random.
dude.
it is.
But it's funny.
Funny.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
mean, for a-
Sigmar relic, dude.
It's
yeah.
in the command phase, you pick an enemy unit with an 18 invisible, which is like a pretty safe thing to do if you're a lone op standing behind a Gorkanaut. You roll a die. On a 1 or a 2, they take a battle shock check. On a 3 to a 4, they take D3 mortal wounds. And on a 5 or a 6, they're -1 to hit until your next command phase. Like,
Let's see. Yeah. What are you?
Probably bad, but I think it's funny. Kind of, we're talking about like we're trying to figure out ways
Mhm.
to like double dip in keywords here.
Yeah.
There's the big mech that can lead the Mega Knobs, right? So you could get like that stealth enhancement. Don't
Yeah.
actually know if that's that good, but it's kind of a
True.
funny
No,
thing.
yeah,
about
I was thinking about that too. And then it's like, well, then like they're probably still inside a transport. And then instead of getting plus 1 to hit in a big damage 3 bonk stick, you're getting a guy who might bring back his points in Mega Knobs if your opponent is bad at target priority. That's like kind of all he does, right? Like, so I don't know.
so there's one walker that hasn't been brought up just yet that I feel like you can't talk about an Orc Dread mob and not mention. How are we feeling about the Stompa boys?
It's definitely funny.
Let me go get him. Oh, actually, I don't want him to be in the room while I say this. Yeah, he's 800 points that dies when Tau go first. He's a model too big to come in from strategic reserve. Both because you can screen him with anything, and if he's larger than 6 inches, if he's still 800 points, I'm sad. I think, if your opponent has no terrain, and you go first and dump 2 CP into him with a mech, he's like bonkers. But I think it's like something that's too hard to consistently execute. I'm saying all this, and I will take one to an RTT the first chance I get. But like, I don't think you should get your expectations too hot. I think like Visions in the Smoke is the only time they felt like insane as like a shooting platform to me. When like Psychic Awakening was out, and I think now like you're getting some of that in terms of like damage output. But there's still just like a big guy who sits there like this, and then anybody who's trying to kill a Catan shard can probably also kill them. You poke
That's
around
the big
corner
thing
with
is that
lethal,
he
and he's gone. Yeah,
it's nice that he now does the damage. That's the first piece of the puzzle. But there's 2 other pieces. The first of which will never be solved, which is how the fuck is this guy ever moving around on the board? Like if you're playing on WTC, you're just not. If you're playing on GW or player place, you're also probably not. And then second of all, your opponent can just kill it. Like there's a 1 CP -1 damage for Dread Mob in the shooting phase, but that's not Titanic.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work on him. So he will still just die. And like, yeah, the Visions in the Smoke build was cool. And we're starting to get back to that level of damage. That's the first piece of the puzzle. But like the real reason that Visions in the Smoke list was good is because there was 120 other boys that were like taking the table and locking your opponent up and killing all their trash that was going to move block the stomp. Jumping into their backfield and launching auto charges on them and that kind of thing. Just a big stompy guy who shoots absurdly hard is like cool, but let's go, dude.
He's probably the non-trolling
yeah
version is double Gorkanaut. What is
Oh.
happening?
I wanted to make it get bigger so we could see it better.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I think like I think he's great and awesome, and I can't wait to take him every game. He's so cool, and definitely not 2 Gorkanauts.
The horns on that head
same
is
vibe,
so
separate.
sick, dude.
Thanks. Yeah, he's he's still got the Nando's extra hot flag from Nova in him too. Forgot about that. It matches his color scheme. Yeah. Yeah,
he's flat 3 damage sweeps is pretty sick.
He's like, yeah, like he is sick. I think like you probably can just like dunk an RTT under the right circumstances. Yeah.
Which is cool.
I pivot my camera, so maybe I'll just put my camera down here so it's on the Stompa, not me the whole time.
All right, sweet.
Yeah, on the corner of the screen.
Cool.
All right, shall we tackle the next one?
Let's get to the thing Lucas is actually excited about. Tell us all about Speed Freaks, Lucas.
Let's go, dude. We're saving the best for last.
Is that the one you're excited about? Oh man,
no, dude. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just gonna, in about 15 minutes, I'm just gonna
Speed
screech about Green Tide for like 10 minutes straight, and then that'll be my final contribution to the episode. Go ahead, Tyler.
Okay.
That's for you, not for me.
Oh, for me to talk about Speed?
Yeah, talk about what are
me talk about?
Are they even?
Oh,
boy. Are they even a thing? I don't know.
I think they are. I think I'm gonna run all of these at some point. I think they're not as good as I want them to be, but also good enough to be worth like considering. So the army rule that you get is advance and shoot, and fall back and shoot, which is good for shooting, better for actions. I think like Speed Freaks are an MSU action economy army that sort of plays like how truck spam in 10th, like early 10th did, where you just have like so much shit. Your opponent can't kill at all, and they score bad, and you score good, and you get tabled, and you shake their hand, and they're confused. Yeah. I think like there's a lot of like damage stuff that looks good on paper, but doesn't add up to that much. I think like Def Cop is with some of these are pretty good. I think like they kind of want you to use all these strats on Warbikers who do more or less still nothing once you put them on. But I think like Def Coptas are like kind of a threat. The plus on the wound is like good-ish in combat. If you take 6 spikes of a Def Kill Wartrike, plus on the wound is like not bad at all. I want to try knobs and warbikes. I think they're still bad. Actually, they're on like 125 points.
How are Def Coppas in combat? I know they used to have the stupid like spinning.
Yeah, they're not that, but they're still good. Their AP 0 is their big flaw. But they have a lot of attacks still. They still have rockets though. And you have like a lot of units if you want for cheap. Like the buggies are like 75 to 80 each for something that can like advance and shoot and fall back and shoot, which means fall back and do actions. If you have that, the one unit that you always take, which gives whatever transport they're in assault ramp for 35 points. Probably 20 boys in a battle wagon, or 10 knobs, or 6 mega knobs. I like 20 boys for OC because you're not playing a game of tabling them. You're playing a game of just like trying to win on points. I think like I would also make a strong case for mega knobs because they can kill things that the rest of the army has a hard time dealing with.
Yeah,
which is funny because it's like something that every other detachment is a very easy time dealing with. But like Speed Freaks is just like hope you die to strength 5 AP 1, and if not, good game. So
especially because like I think one of the most underrated stratagems in this attachment is the squig battle shock thing. Like when you have a transport and a move nearby people, you can make them take a shock test at -1.
Yeah,
so like not only can that make flipping objectives much easier, but also like it turns off people's defensive strats. So you can do that move.
Yeah.
See if they're battle shocked, and then it's like, okay, is this the time that my Truck Boys unit gets to go be Truck Boys now?
Yeah.
And if they're battle shocked, then the answer is probably yes. And then all of a sudden you're charging them with mega knobs.
I think, one thing that's like easy to forget about Speed Freaks is you're building a list and you're like, this sucks. This doesn't look that good. And then you're like, wait, how big is that base? How big is like this? Like you take like 16 of these, and then like where is your opponent? They're in their deployment zone because you're going 1,000,000 inches a turn. You have 3 shock jump drag says teleporting. You have 18 bikes, I think is the core of that list, just like kilocans and dread mob. You have probably 15 to 18 bikes every game with like 2 to 3 def kills. Just like dread mob suffers from giving up a bajillion points to bring it down, so you don't want to take too many characters, and or characters are good, so that's unfortunate. But I think you commit to having 4 or less characters always with them, and then like probably 2 of those are def kills, and then you have like some war bosses or something. You just like have too much stuff for them to deal with. They're really efficient MSU. 80 points can get you a lot. Like I mean, the scrap chat is like not insane shooting, but he's very cheap. And like enough of them will probably eventually kill something, or just like burn your clock while you score 0 hits and wounds. But either I think speed mode's worth trying though. Like I think someone will find something really, really good in them. I think there will be like an 18 bike list that probably wins an event within the next year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you
Warbikers
for
are
very-
advance and shoot, fall back and shoot, and have it not be good.
Right.
That's an insane
Yeah.
rule.
Yeah. And again, I think you're playing for secondaries, right? And then you're playing for board
Yeah.
control and you're playing like move blocking.
I'm very excited by the prospect of this assault ramp battle wagon full of mega knobs that gets a 4-up invuln if you want
yeah,
it
the
to.
buried lead. Forgot about that. Yeah. Let's go back. Yeah. Pretty sick. Yeah. I mean, you just throw bad and you're like, you could feasibly WAAGH turn 1 of this army, and it might not be a mistake. Certain
I mean, if
matchups. Yeah.
If your goal is to just slow them down, throwing a
Right.
tanky unit of mega knobs at them or a tanky unit of something at them is pretty good.
Yeah, totally.
I think it's all about just that's why I like Mega Knobs here is because they can actually like kill something and then go tag something else meaningful.
Yeah.
And like the whole point is because you can fall back and shoot, like nothing you do has consequences. Really? You just like go run in, you shoot, which is very speed freaks, honestly. You just run in, you shoot, it doesn't do anything, you charge in, it doesn't do anything. Every enemy unit's in combat, and you're like, would you like to fall back? If you do not, I will be doing this again next turn.
Yeah, totally. And like the bikes aren't trying to like all in WAAGH, I win the game. Like you could just send in a non-WAAGH turn like this, which is a diff kill war strike base, and 6 bikes probably block off most of her deployment zone. And then be like, okay, these are mine. Go ahead. Do you not have fly? Oh, that's too bad. Looks like you're not going anywhere. Yeah.
What is the OC of a buggy? Is it 3?
I think it's
2.
Actually, I think it's 2. Yeah.
Surely. Right? Like there's no way.
I think it's,
No, it's 3.
Oh, is it 3?
What?
Yeah.
Let's find
No.
out. If only we
Holy shit,
they're
they're 3.
They're all 3.
They're all 3. That's
Okay,
preposterous.
Yeah, but it's
I think
pretty
the
good.
thing that
I think there were 2
works really well with this slow thing you're talking about, like the aim of this detachment is to slow the game down.
Yeah.
You got the Boondocka Snazwagon aura, which is basically like the Nurgling aura. So like if you tag stuff right with the Mega Knobs and then you have a Boondocka nearby, it's like, hey, you're also -1 to hit me.
Yep.
Now you're stuck here longer.
Yeah, totally. Custom Boosted Blast also has a targeted -1 to hit if they score a hit.
That
it's something you
too,
can't get access to. That helps. So I don't mind one of those, and like probably 2 in Boondocka, 3 shock jump, and then just like
The
a
shock
bunch
jump's
of
got the precision. You can be like, hey, important characters.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I forget they can actually shoot. We got a great point. Yeah. Their gun's like fine. And they're really good for teleporting and
What is
like,
this
scoring
sniper
points.
rifle? 24 inch
that's some
range,
shock
1
rifle.
shot on a 3 at 8/2 D6 +1 dev wounds, hazardous precision.
Like 3 of them, and they all teleport whenever they want to. It's like
I think another thing too about this detachment is like random mortals, right? Like if you take scrap jets, there's mortals on the charge. Every like buggy has like random strength 7 weapons. You know, like
I think
I gotta say, this book so far has been like 10 out of 10 on flavor, and I feel like this detachment gets an 11 out of 10 because this is so exactly what this should be. Like I expected the buggy army to be, in horny jail for this edition after what it did to us in 9th.
Right.
But to go out and say, actually, forget everything you knew about them. They're just fast and really annoying and everywhere. Like that's what an orc speed wash should be.
Yeah.
I'm very excited at the prospect of this army existing. It sounds like a really interesting puzzle to play into and as.
Garbage everywhere.
Yeah, that's how an orc WAAGH would go. You'd be like, oh god, I'm too scared to move, and you're just like sitting there, and then they're all just like, doing donuts around you, and then they're all dead, and you realize you lost. Yeah. It's sick. So I think Speed Mob is undervalued.
Cool.
I think people will probably eventually transition to them once Boyz suck.
which is why this is definitely
them.
like probably the detachment people are least hyped about. But we just spent like 10 minutes talking about all the crazy.
Yeah, they're all good. Like I think every single one is like worth playing. The Snaggas one's sick. This one's sick. Dreadnought's sick. Yeah, there's something.
All right,
there.
so we have a lot of listener questions, so I'm going to try to power through a little bit here. The original index attachment is still in there. Has it changed at all?
Yes,
a little bit.
Some stratagems are a little different. Not too much change. The enhancements changed in points a little bit, but overall, it's 95% the same thing.
Yeah,
it's still there. Yeah. It's still good. It's still playable.
Like -1 to wound isn't monsters and vehicles anymore, I believe. It's like you can't minus
Oh,
one to wound your
okay.
T13 squig.
I thought I was just okay. Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, it's like changes that feel big to me, but like probably not to anyone who hasn't played a million games of Orcs in 10th. Like, yeah.
Gotcha.
It's still good. It's the good, well-rounded one. I think you're going to see it less because it's less exciting. But yeah, it's great if you want
Could
to
you
take
use
like an
Kareen
actual
in
balanced
melee?
list. What's up?
There
Okay,
you go.
Kareen was a fallback move as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's
Sweet.
exactly the same.
So you know you love it. It's probably if 10th edition is anything to go off of. It's probably still viable.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Sweet. All right. Let's actually get to the good stuff here, Lucas. You want to scream for a minute here? What's going to happen?
We're back, boys. Let's go. Holy shit. For months and months, I've been like, oh, all I need to do is release something that incentivizes big units. Oh, it's going to be so sick when it happens. And it finally happened. So the Green Tide, let's go. The detachment that you only get stuff if you take the Boyz data sheet. And if you're not taking the Boyz data sheet, you're not playing Orcs. So I don't give a fuck what you think. So nice. We've got the Mob Mentality, which is a fantastically named rule, is the data sheet rule, which gives all of your Boyz units a 5 of minimum. So melee, shooting, doesn't matter if the WAAGH is active or not. You're just saying fuck off to 1/3 of the wounds that you take, which is fantastic. And then if your squad, this is not for Boyz, but if any squad of Orcs has 10 or more models, you reroll ones to save. So this is going to be just like a nice little durability boost to bigger squads. So overall, I think this is a very good data sheet rule. I mean, it makes the Horde doable, which like the two most important things for a Horde are mobility and durability. So this is like really doubling down on some inherent Orc durability, which is nice. And then with Orcs getting a 5-up, I mean the 5-up armor doesn't really matter. I guess if you get shot by AP0, it does matter. But when also like +1 move, that goes a little bit into like fixing some mobility problems as well that we got at the start of the edition. So overall, this detachment rule is really good. I am a big fan, and I think it's going to really encourage larger squads of Orcs to be played, which is really sick. Yeah. And then basically all the stratagems are keyed off of the Boyz data sheet, which is fantastic news because that means they can be good, because the Boyz data sheet is not very good. But it doesn't matter because we're getting some good rules in the stratagems. Let's go. So most of these get like a bonus effect if your squad is bigger. The first of which, and one of the most powerful ones, is 1 CP, reroll 1s to wound. If your squad is 10 or more models, full reroll to wound. So really good with the volume of like strength 4 and strength 5 attacks that Orc Boys are putting down. Also affects the Nob in the squad, obviously, and then any attached characters. So 9 attack War Boss with full reroll to wound. It's pretty good. So there's that. And then there's also, what else is there for big squads? There's 1 CP Blood Surge D6 after being shot. You can end up in combat. If your squad is 10 or more models, you move flat 6. That's pretty good.
What?
Hey, Tyler,
Yeah.
have you ever played an army with reactive moves and getting shot? And how did that work out for you? Does that sound like a good mechanic?
Flat 6? I mean, admittedly, if you have a 20-man boy squad with 2 characters, that still turns off if they kill 12 dudes in an activation. But
Yes.
like, still, that's absurd.
Yeah, so there's like the 2 best, obviously, like just Blood Surge T6 is already like a pretty decent, but it really prevents people from being like, oh, I'm dealing with this squad of 20 boys on this side of the table. I nuked it down, fine. On this other side of the table, you've got 40 dudes rushing me down, and I've got like a couple of defender units. They're going to start chipping you down, which is something that I experienced tons and tons over the course of playing Sons and Guns in 8th edition. You just like, will take 4 random casualties. You'll take 3 random casualties. Now that has like a huge and game-ending consequences for your opponent. So either they'll shoot you and give you insane mobility, or they'll let you exist with your full health squads. And neither option is really good for your opponent. So this stratagem is obviously fucking insanity. Super, super good. There's I'm forgetting what are the other ones that are tied to the squad size. There's 1 CP in the command phase, bring back D3 plus 2 models.
Yep.
Which is not only really good for getting extra charges, but also because the knob has 2 wounds in the squad, you basically will have to kill that guy like there's 20 Warren Orcs in the squad, basically, right? Like you're double dipping on an extra wound, which is like a kind of minute point, but like you're basically getting an extra wound back every time. So really, really good. So that's really good. There's 1 CP, add the battle round to your charge roll. This is insanely good in combination with reviving models or the blood surge. Like if you have the 3 CP to dump on
Weird
this,
boy.
blood surge 6, revive 5 guys, charge with plus 3 on turn 3 is absolutely insane.
Yep.
6-inch charge at a deep strike, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like never mind turn 5 when you have like 20 somehow maybe still.
Yeah.
Or like turn 2, it's good every turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
So
is the not talk it out with your opponent detachment.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll have to kill all 130, probably like more like 140 of my green gorillas. You piece of shit.
Hell yeah, dude.
So yeah, that's super hype. What other stratagems are there? There's one
wounds.
that's reroll wounds talked about. There's one CP you can like, it's like the new mob up where like if you have 2 units that are below half strength, you can count them as above 10 models for purposes of your detachment rule and stratagems. I don't think this is that good for the same reason that mob rule wasn't before, right? Like you're probably not going to want to use a stratagem on a unit that's below half because you're getting half the effect because your unit has half as many models. So I'm sure there will be times where this will come up and it's not going to be useless, but I don't think this is probably one of the worst stratagems in Green Tide. And then there's another one that's probably decent, but I'm forgetting.
Bulldozer brutality.
Hold on, I'm trying to read the enhancements.
Oh yeah, there's bulldozer brutality, which is you can fight. Your engagement range is 3 inches basically. So this is like, unless your unit is truly strung out, this is just worse than reroll the wound. But if you really need to kill something, then fighting in 3 ranks and rerolling the wound means every one of your units going to fight, and you're just going to thunder smash it unless it's toughness 10 or is it 2 up armor, which is fucking sick. Let's go. Keep in mind that all of these boys, admittedly, they are IP 1/1 damage, but they will have lethal hits from Gaskell on the go turn, which is pretty cool.
Is there any like way to get a hazardous melee weapon into this boy squad?
To try to like kill a guy?
To try to like get a whole bunch of dudes hitting it 3 inches, not piling in, and then the guy with the tank hammer like explodes, and then they're not in combat anymore.
I don't think so.
You take a hazardous.
You would be the type of motherfucker to ask a question like that. God damn.
We need you on the GW design team.
Can I not be in
like,
combat?
Down, like, very
Can I not be in combat, brother? You're playing orc.
What?
No, you cannot not be in combat.
I don't know. My Rusted Claw days, just like I'm fiending, brother.
Imagining a very polite, like 55-year-old British man who just came up with this idea in his lunch break, and he comes back to you and he's all like doughy and like he just asks like, excuse me. It just like goes back to Bugman's defeated and just stares into his face. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad. Man, I wish we could tank hammers and other stuff. Tank busters should just be an upgrade for other units. Like honestly,
that kit needs to be redone pronto, like immediately. Also, it needs to be a 10-man squad. All these squads of orcs, they're like, it's a 5-man now. No, make them like commandos. Like you have to take a 10-man squad. It's the fucking horde army. Let our infantry have more than 5 models in the squad.
Yeah. I'm glad
they phased out all the resin guys, but then like kept your shitty fine cast unit. That's one of your like core units.
Yeah.
Like why? It's also like because of 10th edition, right? You're locked to the goofy tank pistols and shit.
Yeah. Feels very cool. Feels very sad. Yeah.
Either way, there's a couple of good enhancements I can talk about, and then so we can finish up and move on to listener questions. A couple of them are decent. The one that a lot of folks are talking about is Raucous Warcaller, which gives your unit always counting as being 10 or more models. Which remember, the reroll ones to save if you have 10 or more models in your squad isn't Boyz. That's for any orc unit. Period. So you can basically have any orc infantry join to any unit having reroll ones to save. pretty good for Mega Knobs, right? Like 2 of armor with reroll once to save. You won't get any of the cool Bully Boy stuff, but like it's just still good. So that's pretty cool.
Question.
I think.
Yep.
Can any characters join? You can't multi-join with Mega Knobs though, right?
No, unfortunately.
Okay. I was trying to think of like, can we slide a Pain Boy into Gaz? But then I was like, wait, that'd be busted just from a Pain Boy in there.
Yeah, I wish I think the force field Mega Knob would be good if he wasn't like that or the war boss, and then you always just choose the war boss, or no character, as Lucas said. Like those are both better. Yeah.
So that combo is interesting. I'm trying it today. I'm gonna see how it goes. I think it's definitely not bad, but it's just a matter of whether or not, because that whole combo is expensive. So whether or not that fits with the Green Tide MO is up for debate.
I do feel like it'll probably be FAQ'd at some point too, potentially. But like count as 10 for like Mega Knobs. They get bad when people realize that they're bad at phrasing and then change it. So yeah, we'll see. But it'll work for a while. Like raw, it's totally fine. So yeah.
And then the other one that I really like is Bloodthirsty Belligerence, which is like 15 points. Which no one got excited about this, but it's like 15 points reroll to advance, which is really fucking good. And then if you have 10 or more models, reroll to charge. So, like, if you're a big squad going in on turn 3, you're just re-rolling to advance and charge for the cost of 15 points pre-game. And then you also can have, like, plus the battle round to charge for a CP. So, like, that seems absolutely busted to me. I think that's going to be joined at 20 boys in every single list.
Yeah.
That's like average return on investment of 15 points for a CP, sometimes 2. Like, yes, please.
Insanely good. Yeah, that's an auto-include.
Ferocious Show Off and Bloodthirsty for sure.
Ferocious, that's like 10 points. So
if
you have the points for it, that's great. If not, I'm not upset about it. Plus 3 strength is like meh when you're rerolling the wounds. It's probably not going to give your war boss a break point because he's already like strength 10 or 11.
Yeah, exactly. I think
being strength 14 though, very funny.
It is funny.
What do you think about Brutal but Cunning?
No, you already have Gretchen. This.
Oh I forgot you have Gretchen.
You got Gretchen. I mean, it depends how expensive. I think it's like printed at 25 in the codex, which is probably not worth it.
Yeah.
If it was much cheaper, it'd probably be too good. So I'm glad it's not.
Dude. It's like 3 more boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a Green Tide cleanse and Homer like probably every game. Do you feel that way too, Lucas? Or
probably.
Yeah. I mean, you already did that with like WAAGH Tribe a lot, and it was great. And now if the game plan is like just boys and that much board control, it seems pretty good.
Yeah, remains to see like if we can cram any assault weapons into here, but I doubt that boys will have assault weapons. Otherwise, that'd be pretty silly.
Yeah.
And now that you don't have access to Super Cyborg, the trike isn't what it used to be.
Yeah, no. I think you only take him in Speed Mob, in which case he's like still pretty good. But yeah,
or WAAGH Tribe, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
both.
Sure.
Both.
Both. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, this detachment is sick. I don't know how good it'll be. A lot of it will ride on like how good is the boy data sheet into the current meta, right? Like if people are packing a lot of horde clearing, then it'll probably be bad because at the end of the day, you'll just like die.
Yeah, I think it'll be good right now because like nobody's doing that. The only reason people are spamming lots of shots is to kill a Catan, right? And when like whatever they're spamming to kill a Catan might not be good into infinite boys. So
also, I think now's suspicion Catan are about to stop existing. So like the tides may shift away from that.
I think
tides may indeed shift. That's true.
I think this is the archetype I'd probably least want to fight as an orc player too. Like I think bully boys will struggle into this because the boys will kill them and the Mega Knobs will not kill the bully.
You kill like 6,
15 attacks hitting on 4s.
Yeah, the AOC does not work against in melee. Yeah. So like you're getting rerolled to wounded and you're taking 500 gajillion saves.
Yeah, and I think also Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Mega Knobs rolled up to the tide wearing cement shoes. It's not going to go well, brother.
I think too. I don't know if you've mentioned it, but the datasheet ability for Boyz changed too, which supports like the Green Tide archetype.
Oh, it sure did.
Oh,
It's
not. Talk about the old datasheet ability for those who may not have gotten to play into them before, because it was pretty powerful.
I'm gonna read it right
did
now,
nothing.
so I don't Fisherman's Tale it like I did to you the other day, Sally. All right, here is the current Orc Boyz datasheet ability. Breaking heads. I'm gonna break my own head open. While a war boss model is leading this unit in your command phase, the first time a battle shock test is failed for this unit this phase, if it's within range of an objective marker, so that's already 3 qualifiers, you can choose to break some heads. If you do, 1 bodyguard model is destroyed and you can reroll the test. So you need to be led by a war boss. The war boss needs to be on an objective that you control. Then you can destroy 1 model, not to pass, but to fucking roll it. Nice. All right, so now it's 6.
Is that keyed to any phase or anything? Can you use that on out of phase battle shocks at least?
In your command phase. The first time in your command phase.
The first time in your command?
I don't know if there's multiple ways to take a battle shock in the command phase. But
Shadows. But yeah.
True.
But it does say the first time a battle shock test has failed.
Hilarious. All right.
And now,
So, yeah.
Anyway, so what's the list, Lucas? What's the list? What are you playing today?
Today I am playing 120 Boyz, a war boss with rerolled advance and charge. I've got a mega boss with 5 mega knobs with Raucous Warcaller. They're in a truck. I've got 30 Gretchen, 5 Storm Boys, Gazgul, joined to 3 mega knobs, and that's it. Oh, there's like a weird boy or 2 in there or something. I think I probably want more weird boys eventually because mobility is super good.
3 war bosses, right? Or just the 1?
1 war boss. So okay. I've got 4 units of boys with no character. They're just
hell yeah,
boys.
Rock and roll, brother.
Sorry, I missed. Are you taking any pain
good
boys?
gore contended?
No pain boys. Yeah. I'm curious whether or not they'll be worth it because 70 points is a lot.
Yeah, I think 1 pain boy is kind of cool because you just like send that unit into the thing that the female pain is actually good into, find where that is in the board. But
True.
I think most of the time you'd probably rather just have more weird boys. I kind of like solo weird boys still. I think Snickrod is also very good. I like to make points for him a lot of the time. Yeah.
I don't know if he'll be good in Green Tide just because of what the army's trying to do.
Yeah,
right? It's trying to survive on objectives with OC40, not a lone op. But
in general, though, yeah.
As a horde player, lone ops with hordes are really, really good. I think you will be surprised how much its utility you can get out of it.
Yeah, I think like between him and like Weird Boys, you probably have like a lot of the same kind of thing or like things that do similar roles in different ways, right? Like he's guaranteed in once per game. The Weird Boy is a 2-up, but might fail, which is why redundancy is good. They're also cheaper though.
I think in other detachments, Snickrod will be auto take. Like Bully Boys in particular, just having a lone op who goes and does like 8 points of secondary once per game and then dies is like fantastic.
Yeah. I think Green Tide has a higher ceiling too, in that like you can probably score points no matter what, and then Bully Boys will probably just run into the wall they can't burst like Kool-Aid Man through, and then you lose, and then that's it. And like they kind of like there's a lot you can do, and like you can set up like intricate WAAGH turns, and then like do good like management of like waves, and obviously like who goes where, but like when too. And like staging that can help a lot, but I think like they will just get like stat checked sometimes. Like I think you could probably do some like pretty mean 6 nargling Death Guard builds into them, and they're sad about that. There's like I'm sure like a lot of other stuff that's rough for them too. But Green Tide, like if they can't kill the boys, they just lose on points, and that's like consistent. And then if you're like good at playing Warhammer and like move blocking and all the normal things that make one win a game, I think like your skill ceiling's a bit higher, which is why they're exciting to me. Same for Speed Freaks, but I think like Green Tide will probably be better just because of the OC they provide. Yeah.
Makes sense. Sweet. Well, that is all 6 orc detachments in one way or another. Obviously, we're going to talk a whole lot more about these in the coming weeks. Look forward to seeing some reviews of some games and tournaments and whatnot, as well as we'll definitely get them on some battle reports coming up soon. This is happening. I assure y'all it's going to happen. Let me run through some plugs real quick, and then we're going to break into our listener questions, several of which are directed specifically at Mr. Russo. So look forward to that. If you enjoy the work that we're doing and would like to support us financially, we'd really appreciate it. You can check us out on patreon.com/statcheck, which is where you can get access to our Patreon-only Discord to keep the conversation going. If you're willing to support a little bit more than $5, I think it's $15 a month, you're entitled to a crisp high five. So here's that for you. Thank you. Anyone who participated in that high five who did not provide the sufficient funds will be at your doorstep next week. We'd also like to thank some of our fantastic sponsors. Our main sponsor being Red Dragon Games. StatCheck patrons get 20% off the entire store at red-dragon.ca. If you're anywhere in the northeastern United States or the vicinity thereof, they're a fantastic store. They take good care of us. They'll take good care of you as well. They've got some fantastic deals on used stuff and new stuff. We love Red Dragon. We also have our sponsor Saltire Games, which you can check out the link in the description to see their Etsy store. They have a lot of the StatCheck branded widgets, what's-its, and who's-y bits. All of the acrylic laser cut Battleshock tokens and measurements and oath of moment counters and all that kind of good stuff. It is all StatCheck branded, and it's very cool. They are coming out of the UK, so if you're across the pond, probably a little bit more affordable shipping for you there. But they do ship to the US, and their product is worth the price. Also, of course, our third major sponsor is Weyland-Yutani. You can use code StatCheck5 to get 5% off your GW and WTC terrain. They are the official providers of WTC terrain to the WTC. So if you want WTC terrain that looks like the terrain used at the WTC, they're the place to get it from. Those are our outside plugs, inside plugs. We got other shows in this network that are fantastic. You've heard about the main show because you're listening to the StatCheck network, but we've also got the latest arrival, which is Steve Joel's show, Champions of 40K. That's what it's called, right? Champions of 40K, pretty sure. Has made its way onto the StatCheck network. Does fantastic, high-quality interviews. If you don't know who Steve Joel is, you have to listen to that show. He's a professional radio talk show host who does fantastic narrative-driven content about some of the wonderful members of the community. They recently did Seth the Mad Doc, and they also, I think they did someone from Vanguard recently, if I recall correctly. Great stuff. You got to love him. Of course, you can also check out Enter the Matrix for some of your high-end Team 40K related needs. And X and One, when they're around, they're on hiatus at the moment, does some fantastic content regarding how to play 40K when you're not always around, and able to commit in the way that some of us unmarried 20-somethings are able to throw our whole lives at this stupid hobby. If you're interested in getting any coaching, check out stat-check.com/coaching. There's a bunch of coaches there who would love to help you out. So those are the plugs. We did it. We're moving on to the listener questions now. We're going to try to be fairly rapid fire here, as these did come in droves, and several of these were discussed over the course of the episode, but not all of them. So Isaac asked this. He's been asking this of all the shows. What are your thoughts on tournaments hiding missions until after list lock? It's been happening around up here in the Pacific Northwest a bunch. He's not as much of a fan of it. What do you guys think? Is this a good idea or not, and why? Lucas, looks like you have some thoughts.
I personally think it's like a little bit just like, what's the point, right? Like, I get that maybe there's some rationale of let's like make players think on the fly and be more creative in their solutions, but like, to what end? Like, we're already playing a game about like solving problems and like playing like all sorts of like butting heads is the wrong term on the table, because that makes it seem like we're like going into conflict with each other, but like we're
matching hits.
Yeah, it's there's already like enough problem solving and like mental hurdles at the table. Introducing another thing of like you don't know what you're going to be playing until the second before the round starts is just like, why? There's no point in my opinion.
The game is complicated enough. The meta is complicated enough already. We don't need additional layers of complexity onto that. What do you have to say there, Tyler?
Yeah, I feel very strongly on this too. I think the only instance in which is justifiable is if it's 6 rounds of servo skulls as a fun surprise. Just tell everyone that they've wasted their weekend, but it'll be really funny for like the first hour that they're there. I think that's cool. Outside of that, I don't love it. I think like also like there's just some missions that you show up and you're like, oh cool, purge the foe twice for some reason in this pack. Like, cool, man. We're glad I brought MSU. When like
my kids are so happy. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, because like what it results in is like if you know all the missions ahead of time, then everybody is able to tailor their list for the missions without knowing matchup still, or like you know sometimes like what boards they're going to be on and when, which is very important too. There's like factors of RNG, but being able to like know the missions or not just like determines like if you have a list that happens to be good for those missions, then like great, you do better, and if not, then I guess you guessed wrong, and that feels bad.
Yeah. as long as you're putting it out in the pack, everyone has the same access to it.
Yeah,
Everyone gets to
exactly.
make decisions based on it. It's not an unfair advantage to some people who suddenly are allowed to play their army. Like, cool.
It sounds like someone ran a tournament where Sites of Power or whatever was heavily catered to once, and they were mad about it and are now like trying to control who gets to see missions in advance. But yeah, that's just how the game works. Sorry. Yeah.
Sweet. Unless you got anything to add to that, Nick, I'll move on here. Preston asks, "What is your?"
Okay.
Sorry. Do you, Nick? Go for it.
You'd have something small to say about that.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think it's fine after list lock. Like, as long as you stick to the standard GW missions. If you're gonna throw some wacky missions in there that are like outside of the standard mission pack, you should notify the people coming to the tournament. Hey, here's like a mission you might have never played before that you're gonna have to play next week. Also, there's kind of like a, I guess, community perception of certain missions that are sillier, like servo skulls or Sites of Power or Chosen Battlefield. If that's going to be in your mission pack, especially like day 2, tell people, like, I want to have the chance to refund my ticket if your event's going to be a clown show. Sorry, just that's what it is. If you're not going to release it before list lock because you want to not have people cater towards it, that's fine. Have list lock like a week before, release the mission pack like 3 or 4 days before, so people can just read it before the event. And there's a lot less of this, like, I don't know, 10 minutes before, like in the round, trying to figure out what mission are we playing again? How do we set it up? Saves a lot of time if you know beforehand. So.
Yeah, the most extreme version of this we had at Slaanesh, where missions were announced only via audio and only after the round timer had started.
Don't ever do that. That's horrible.
And also the deployment zones were announced via the food shape they most resemble.
Yeah,
that one I'm okay with. The first part is tough. Yeah.
Yeah, you like playing a hot dog, bro?
Yeah.
It's
Actually,
great,
when you put it that, if it's in a very confident, annoying voice that's in my face, I'll probably shut
Tyler,
down
tell me what
and
deployment
go for it.
lasagna is, dude.
Lasagna.
Yeah. Those are the
mission.
Those
J,
are the
lasagna.
deployments.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, you was a hot dog, hamburger, pizza, grilled cheese, and lasagna. Those are the 5 deployments, don't you know? Anyway, moving on. Preston asks, "What is your favorite Pacific Northwest egg specialty?" And Tyler, you can adapt this to your local SoCal egg meta. You guys have thoughts on this, Lucas, Nick, or Tyler?
I didn't know there was P&W egg specialties.
Yeah, we don't have eggs.
I don't know if
here.
there's one.
Yeah.
I like all the different eggs Benedicts. I feel like every time you walk into a different breakfast restaurant, they're like, here's our random special with like 6 different crazy things thrown on it. And I'm like, yes, please. Throw it at me.
I feel like avocado toast is the low-hanging fruit that you can use to throw LA under the bus if you're making jokes that were popular in bars like 7 years ago. I think that's like kind of it.
Is that egg
Excellent. Moving forward.
It's like breakfast burritos, I guess. Yeah. This is exciting. I want to
You
talk about
can
this.
you can put poached eggs on an avocado toast, Lucas. That's like a
Yeah,
popular thing
totally.
to do.
It's very common. I think like conventionally there are eggs served with it. Yeah.
All right, moving forward. Which orc detachments have the best synergies with the best data sheets? Which detachments really make the not as good orc data sheets good? Kind of an interesting division there.
Hello, Green Tide. So yeah, Green Tide makes boys work. Mega Knobs are good in every detachment. Knobs are good in every detachment. So honestly, Bully Boys is probably the weakest example of this kind of thing. Well, actually, that's not necessarily true because the whole War Boss thing unlocking certain
double log war boss is good. I think Mega Knobs are substantially better because they get Fiona Pains for 4 turns out of the game too, as opposed to 2.
True.
So doubling the length of their Fiona Pain functionally.
True.
So
yeah,
I think they get like I take 1 unit probably in a lot of other detachments. I don't think I take more than that. And Bully Boys, I don't leave home without like 15 right now. So, but yeah,
cool.
your point still stands. Yeah.
Cool. Lots of cover, so we're going to keep moving. McQuirp asks, how do you like your mans? And mans means knobs. Led by a war boss, led by Gaz, or led by a mech? I assume we're talking about mega mans here. We talked about this a little bit early on, but we didn't talk a ton about the mech options. There's 2 of them, right? With and without the KEF. Are they different? No?
KFF might be Legends for all I know. I'm not sure. And then either way, I think you can only take the Big Mech with KFF and Mega Knobs. So
gotcha.
The Big Mech in Mega Armor with Mega Knobs. Yeah. I don't think you could ever take the normal one. So
yeah,
cool.
You can have a Mega Mech, you can have Gaskull, and you can have the Mega Boss. I think the Gaskull is the automatic one because he should be in every single Bully Boys list. and he should probably be in most orc lists, unless you're trying to do something else. Like, you know, speed mob style.
Yeah.
And then the Mega Boss is very good. So I think Gazgul is pretty automatic. I think naked Mega Knobs are the second best option. And then the Mega Boss is also very good. But only if you want your Mega Knobs to like be really heavy hitters instead of just like tough units.
Someone's got to
love
carry the
the
deep strike, right?
Yeah,
True.
I love the
That's fair.
Mega Boss. I think he's like really good. I think actually I can see a world in which I drop Gaz before him because I think
Interesting.
we might eventually run into a place where it's just some equivalent of Night Spinner Hell. I don't know what that is, but Gaz is just like in the open and very targetable. And like, you know, he's tanky, but if he's getting pelted by things that make him slow or inconvenienced, and that sucks. Having the Mega Knobs and trucks of a boss is like a huge melee threat. They're protected and fast until they get out of said truck. So I mean, Gaz is insane. Like, I'm definitely going to take him for a long time, but I can see eventually we arrive in like the anti-Gaz tech spot where there's just like too many things that are like targeting him and good into him that Mega Knobs still are able to get around potentially. So, but yeah, I think naked, like Lucas said, is like great because they're cheap. Like 180 for 6 guys before a Fuel Pain. Are you kidding me? Or like, and they just go in a truck, right? And then that's like a 245 point unit. That's really, really good. But yeah, I like the boss. I think he's worth his points right now. Yeah. I would probably never take the Big Mech and Mega Armor under most circumstances, though, off the exception of maybe a Dread Mob. But
Sweet.
Probably not done. Yeah.
Sticking with the Bully Boys theme here, how do you feel about this is from Nick K, by the way. How do you feel about a potential blob of hogs with a boss in Bully Boys, points depending, of course? Does that unit have play outside of the hog detachment?
Yeah, real good. Actually, I think I like it more in that detachment than the Snaggas one. I think the Snaggas one forces you to commit to a theme a little too hard for me, which I'll do because it's fun. But I don't know. I like him, and yeah, I think it's great. I think you could definitely run a Squigosaur and 8 hogs and have a good time. It feels good. I think like 2 units is too much. They seem like they're gonna be really expensive. Allegedly, they're like 300 points for a unit of 8 Squig Hogs, which is like not so bad. Then you put in 160 point character tax on top of that, and that's like suddenly a quarter of your army gone. So I think more than one most of the time is too much. Yeah,
it's nice because it doubles down on what you're already good at, right? Because Bully Boys is like, yeah, it hits decently hard, but the resilience of Mega Knobs is really what I think everyone's talking about right now. And having a unit of hogs, which is also very resilient, is nice. Yeah. And also one of the Bully Boys' weaknesses, which is it's a bajillion points of guys in transports that have 0 OC until they disembark and then they're OC 1. Okay, well, now here's a unit of hogs that is combined like 21 OC. They can actually take a point or hold some ground.
Yeah, totally.
And make sure you get some primary is really nice.
Yeah, that's the same reason like Boys more too, because they're OC2 and they're also pretty durable in that there's just like 20 of them with the 5-up invuln.
Yep.
Yeah. I think Knobs will eventually be phased out, but Mega Knobs will stay.
That unit gets significantly worse if there's certain like stratagems they can't use, because it seems like what I'm reading online is it seems like the stratagems are mostly knobs and Mega Knobs locked.
Yeah,
some might be.
That's what I'm worried about. Is it's going to have to survive on the merits of its own data sheet, and I don't know how good that is. Sorry, its own data sheet plus the second WAAGH, which admittedly is huge, but it won't have access to any of your stratagems or enhancements, which is also pretty huge, right? Like you're not making use of half the rules in your detachment.
Yeah, but I mean, like for context, in WAAGH Tribe, I think they were pretty good, and the only thing you're losing is sustained, basically, and the -1 to wound. But like, I think you're fine.
That's kind of a lot, man.
It is, but like, I think you can still take one, and it's fine. Like, I think it's like pretty good still. I think like. For context, my list does not have them, but if you wanted to, I think you could make them work, right? Yeah. And I think I'm going to try them at some point to see how it feels. But yeah, I don't think they're bad because I think they do have access to anything that the War Boss keyword gives units they can take too. Because I think the Beast Boss and Squigosaur has the War Boss keyword, right?
Yeah. What I'm seeing though is that the stratagems.
The strats are no
Mega knobs. I don't have the printed strats in front of me, just from what I've seen.
A lot of them are though. Yeah.
They might be knobs and Mega Knobs only.
Yeah. But
who knows? Maybe they gain the knob keyword because they have 2 knobs in there.
Yeah, maybe you can put them on the teleporter pad.
No,
probably not.
Sounds good. Sweet. All right. Moving forward, can we take a moment of silence and ring the bell of lost souls for our golden boys?
Get shit on, you fucking.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
I can't participate in this custode bashing. I feel really
Anyway.
bad.
I don't give a fuck. You guys
could hate custodes, but yeah.
Also, like, it kind of needed to happen. There's people that like play custodies that we're friends with that are like actually kind of hyped about them now because they thought the old way to play them was super boring.
They're huffing copium. But yeah,
I
we'll
think
see.
like
It's.
yeah.
I think it's good for everyone.
Yes.
I wish. Yeah, I think it's good
incredibly
like,
boring army.
changing. Yeah, but I wish they got something. I mean, maybe they did, and no one knows yet, or maybe somebody does, but I don't. That's like cool. I just wish like they got something that felt like like Speed Mob, where it's like really exciting still, even if it's not like insane. Some people like Talons of the Emperor, and what's the other one, like Arc, whatever. Yeah,
the Champions one is clowny but bad.
Yeah,
I think they did a really good job finding some flavor to give custodies. I think the Boys and Girls Club detachment is super interesting and fun and thematic, even if it's not necessarily the most powerful thing. Same with the champions. Like, yeah, we'll see what happens. All right.
I thought for a moment that meant they'll have lost souls for all the orc models we lost.
Yeah, I thought I was
take a moment of silence for those guys. Like, actually.
Yeah, rest in peace, Zagstruck. Rest in peace, Badrock. Rest in peace, Grotsnick. Right? Those are the three?
Yeah, the WAAGH banner. And
the WAAGH banner.
Maybe the KFF. It's KFF.
Oh, and the Big Mech with KFF, dude. The little stumpy lad. See you later, dude.
Yeah.
You were a hero back in 9th Ed during the Freebooters War, dude.
Fair enough. All right, well. Sam asked, do we still run Flash Gits? Is there a place for the flashiest of Gits?
Yeah.
Working on now, dude.
I think you could.
I think they're not bad, especially in like something like Bully Boys, where you have 5-mans and trucks, and you're just looking at those last 5 seats. Having them, they're like, I think Sype actually was doing this toward the end of WAAGH Tribe like a couple months ago, but like just having them to go out and like shoot something small or charge something else that's small and like solve little problems because they're like good in melee and they're good at shooting just on their own.
Exactly. Yeah,
they're
still good in combat.
Do they have the knob keyword?
No,
I doubt it. That would be.
They do have grenades.
I know they are like knobs.
Yeah,
they do have grenades though, so they can like grenade a small vehicle, then shoot it, and then charge it, and probably kill it, type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, I think 5-man squads are fine. Like they shoot okay. I can see them in the WAAGH detachment potentially too, if you're giving vehicles like +1 to hit anyways that have firing deck like a battle wagon. But I don't know.
I think too in Bully Boys they might help with that like screen problem because they just throw a lot of shots.
Yeah,
also,
like
exactly.
They have 4 choppa attacks each.
Yeah, if they go down in points, especially that'd be cool. But I don't know.
Hopefully they do to accommodate for Badrock, because otherwise they're probably not going to make the cut.
Yeah, I think you could run them if you want to. Like, I don't know who's asking this question. I don't know if you're like trying to win OVO, if you're just like excited for next Saturday. But like, yeah, if you just want to run them, it's probably chill. I don't think they're that bad.
Probably the big 10-man brick is dead though.
Yeah, you take 2 5s over that easily. Yeah, agreed.
There's no reason to have it at this point.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Tom Crayford asks, what is a reasonable points cost for a Mega Knob now? They're currently 30. Having seen what happens to them, what do we think would be a reasonable place to put them where you would still play them, but you're not windmill slamming 18 of them like you are at 30?
Oh, 25 points per model.
Yeah, I was gonna say 5 to 10 probably.
35, somewhere around there.
5 to 10.
Yeah,
points.
30 is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
Meanwhile, Crute Rampagers are out here like 40 in their codex. Like,
bro. Meanwhile, fucking aberrants. Oh man,
I'd expect Mega Nubs to get a 5-point hike and then probably get like another 5-point hike in 3 months.
that would
it
seem
sounds. Yeah, they get a 5-point hike that does nothing, and everyone's big mad still, and then they get too expensive, and then everyone is already beating Mega Knobs, and everybody who's trying hard is playing a different detachment anyways, and and there's no point, as is tradition. That'll be my guess too.
along a similar line of reasoning. What is a reasonable points cost for a warden, and is it the same?
50 points. Oh, no, they're probably already like 50 points. 80
I
points.
think they are 50.
Yeah, probably like 90, 95.
At least 10 points more than Mega Nub.
I don't know. What does it cost to get something thrown in the toilet?
They're still
Next
like,
question.
people said they're feeling like
next
going away.
question.
It's still there. So.
Next question, also from Tom Crayford. Which orc detachment makes the best eggs?
Ooh.
Has the what?
My answer.
Best egg.
Make orc mains say it first then.
I'm concerned that the dread mob would just like explode the eggs and
but-
everything would just be a huge disgusting mess.
Yeah, hazardous eggs is a pretty funny.
Yeah, it's way too
Imagine
hazardous.
kill cans filled with eggs. It's like pretty sick.
Both of speeds
yeah.
are probably gross and like ashy and smoky.
Yeah.
Lucas, I think you need to
grill it on their car.
You
Actually,
need to
green
take your
tide?
yeah. Mhm.
Imagine, do you know the orc? Oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
Oh, okay. Mine doesn't matter at all. Imagine
Nor does
the
mine.
orc model that has 2 choppas above his head, but there's an egg in each hand, and then you have 120 of them. Like 120 boys like this with egg in each hand. Like that's awesome. I think it's green tide. Or like one big egg.
I was thinking
like a big choppa egg above the head, like the black orc.
Mhm.
Like this and
That's your tank hammer, dude.
ostrich egg. Yeah. That would be sick.
I was thinking about Lucas, your Blood Bowl boys with the footballs. Those could be eggs.
Yeah.
True.
Oh, actually, Dread Mob, if you give it take 120 Gretchen, and they have like an Easter egg hunt, like 120 Easter bunny grats looking for eggs is pretty cool. I think that's.
I think it's Snaggas, dude. I bet they make some delicious meals.
That was gonna be my answer.
Like imagine on the hunter rigs and like the kill rigs and stuff. Like if you're on
they're
a very
best
arid,
at hunting, dude.
You're on a very arid planet and like you're just like cooking eggs. And
Do you guys ever play Neopets? Do you know like the omelet thing Neopets has? Do you know? Does anyone alive in 2024 know what I'm talking about?
I remember Neopets. I don't know this thing.
There was like a caveman omelet place you could go to, and that's what the Beast
dude.
ones look like.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I forgot that we're supposed to be putting the questions on screen, so I'll be doing that from here on out. Next question specifically comes from Grant, asking for you in particular. He says, "I love your channel. What would you say some big picture speed painting principles / things to keep in mind when trying to get an army done fast and have it look decent?" For those of y'all who don't follow Tyler's stuff particularly closely, his hobby game is immaculate. Do you have an Instagram that they can look at, or just on the YouTube?
It's $1 Billion Clown Farm, the same that is my name here on screen, probably. Otherwise, it's that $1 Billion Clown Farm. I'm on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff too. I think practical technical advice is washes and airbrushes help a lot. I think like if that's not what you probably know that. In terms of like philosophical advice, I feel like you just do whatever makes it fun and interesting. Which can be like hard to find, and I think it changes a lot throughout the process. Like I'll literally, if I'm painting an army, just do something until I'm like, this is like boring, I don't want to anymore, and then don't stop like painting the army, but like move on to a character, or like just if they're all base coded, that's fine, leave them there. Don't do highlights if you're like tired and don't want to do that. Like just do like something to take a break. I think like as long as you're like consistently chipping away, that's like probably actually the best thing. I tend to do like 5 to 10 models at a time. That's like what's good for me. If it's a big unit of like 20, I think it gets to be too exhausting. If it's like 1, then it doesn't feel rewarding. And then most of the time, I think 10 is where I look. And then like you get like 10 models to like an okay, like just mostly airbrush and base coated standard. And then like I do like batches of 5 for like detail work. Also, bear in mind that basing can really make your army. And if you think they look bad and you're sad about it, try basing one. And you might change your mind, and then that'll excite you to finish the rest, etc. Like, I think just constantly looking for motivation is probably the best thing. Also, it's a very nice thing to say. Thanks for asking again, saying that you love my channel.
That's some really good advice. Hours spent painting are more valuable than and fewer hours spent more efficiently hobbying.
Right.
Do the thing that's going to get you to spend the hours, whether or not it's the quickest way.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
That's good advice. Cool.
Yep.
All right. Next question. If I want to start an orc army, this is from Isaac, again, by the way. And what's a start to it? I'm assuming Grots, Gaz, Meganob, Stormboy, Squigs. What else should be in your shopping cart yesterday?
Trucks.
Boys,
like
trucks,
3
battle
trucks
wagon,
at
maybe.
minimum.
Yeah,
I get 1 battle wagon. That's probably. I'm honestly thinking about it for Tide as well, just for transport shenanigans.
I take 1 battle wagon and 3 trucks right now as well. I think that's a good number. Normal knobs are like pretty good.
Yes,
that might change, but I think they're
that
pretty
kit
good
is also fantastic because it has tons and tons of bits which you can use on your other kits. Snagga
Boys pretty good. Swordhogs maybe. But yeah, Snagga boys, I like. If the Snagga boss goes down, I think he's really sick.
The foot boss.
Yeah, the foot boss.
Yeah, they kind of like gutted his points last fall for like no discernible reason. But if he goes down to 80 like he was in the index, then
I can think of one discernible reason. But
what reason is that?
You clapping with him, dude.
I had 2 of them and they did nothing.
They killed God, dude.
I think a lot of
called James. I was like, James, they just killed the Catan. You gotta nerf him, dude.
Down. Yeah. Yeah, there's I think like a lot of lists that had him in it, and like I don't think he's the reason why they were winning, but he was like an obvious thing to point at and make 20 points more arbitrarily. I don't know. This happens a lot.
I think they just took everything with Evelyn's and they were like,
you bump up trucks from 50. Totally fine. You bump up a beast boss to the same squad as the squad he's leading. It's like, what the fuck? 200 points for 10 orcs and a character? You fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I think outside of like in Bully Boys not having anything of a war boss, and it feels sad because I can't participate in second lunch. But like I think just normal Snagga boys are still okay. Like I don't hate them. I want to throw some in there. I think like if you're just trying to play for the long route, like if you're trying to chase Bully Boys as soon as possible, then like don't worry about this. If you're gonna have an army by like April 27th, then like great. If not, then like I think the Snagga stuff in the long term is gonna age well though. I think like Dread Mob will be great until this codex cycle ends, and then you'll just have 18 kilocans that'll either make you sad or have fond memories depending on how much you get to play with them that are on a shelf. But I think like the Snagga stuff will stay relevant for like years probably. I think they're trying to make that stuff like a mainstay orc unit that's optional but like very good no matter what, probably, as long as orcs are good. So yeah, any of that feels safe. Yeah,
the Squig boss is the coolest model, so
yeah, he does fuck hard. Same with Mozrog. They're so cool. Yeah. I gotta get an actual one. Like I just have the like a bunch of Kip Ash ones because it's me, but I've painted them for other people and they're a joy. They're very cool models.
I mean, even the base kit you can Kip Bash pretty heavily. Like I think I took mine and ripped off his stupid pirate choppa and I put Mozrog's claw, so he's like doing this.
The pirate chop is not stupid, but it's cool that you did.
It is.
It's
very cool.
I'm with Tyler on this one. Sweet. All right, pushing forward. Next hobby question coming in from Derek. What's a decent way to get vehicles, orc vehicles in particular, done up fast and decent, especially with weathering? I know y'all are both weathering aficionados for your vehicles here. What do we think?
Yeah, actually, you're like really good painter too, Lucas. I like didn't see you sent me a photo of a Devco or check, and I was like, oh damn, that's sick, nice. Yeah.
I mean, my shit is like fairly it's like it ends up looking really nice, but I use incredibly basic techniques. Basically, I've got like a rust recipe, a brass recipe, like a weathered bronze recipe, and then a silver recipe. And it's all just like very basic. You like apply the darkest version of each of those, and then you like put a nice wash over it, and then you just finish it with dry brushing. It's like incredibly easy. Dry brushing is so good for making orc vehicles look good because it just really makes the corners of all the paneling and stuff look absolutely beaten up.
If you don't care about your long-term physical health, 30 down is pretty good. That stuff like probably will kill you probably within like the next 5 years for me. I use a lot of it, but it's like really good for quick weathering. A probably chemically more stable alternative to that is I think it's WAAGH has these like acrylic washes. Let me make sure I'm plugging the right brand before you spend a long time.
Dirty Down Rust in particular, this stuff is
that's what I mean. Yeah, Dirty Down, the rust,
fantastic.
Sure.
It's like you have to be a complete idiot to not use this correctly. You literally just put your brush in and you slap it on the model. Like it looks so good.
I think you can fuck it up if you don't like shake it well enough or use it well. It's too cold or like annoying other things. But if it's mixed, it looks good. Yeah.
The one time I've used this product, the results were not very good.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I think you could. Yeah, like I have a vortex mixer. I put mine on for like at least 30 seconds each time. It has to be like between like 70 and 85 degrees. If it's too cold, it looks weird, etc. But yeah, the Vallejo washes, I like their orange a lot, and the dark brown I use quite a bit too. They're acrylics, so you can airbrush them and they look good. Yeah, it just like fills in the recesses. It functions kind of like an enamel, but you don't have to use like odorless thinner and that annoying stuff. For like truly fast, I think Dirty Down, and then also like doing washes of enamels look great. But enamels are like stinky and make your brushes gross. So If you don't want to fuck with that, then I think Vallejo acrylic washes are good. And if not, then yeah, enamel paint, oil paint too,
Sweet.
like orange oil paint. Yeah.
Cool. Big question here for Lucas in particular. What do we think about the divergence here in Orc List between a singles format and a teams format? Maybe which detachments are going to pop up more one way or the other? Is there more of a viability to some of these offshoot stuff, the Tide, the Cult of Speed? What do we think the role of Orcs is going to be in a teams environment?
Well, I mean, I think Orcs have always been very, very good at scoring, and that hasn't changed with our codex unless points alter significantly, especially on like Trucks, Gretchen, and Storm Boys, like those, and Bikers as well. All three of those units are like staple scoring units right now, and I think that's not about to change. So I think, after the initial hype of Mega Knobs and Knobs dies down, yeah, we'll revert to maybe like a couple of hitty units, a couple board control pieces, some durability, and then also just like tons and tons of ability to play fixed if you want to, ability to go anywhere you want to grab tactical cards, like just tons and tons of cheap stuff is really, really strong. Yeah. So what Tyler was saying about speed mob, I think kind of rings true. Like whether or not I think for WTC terrain, the speed bomb just like doesn't work, unfortunately, because of how dense the terrain is. It can be really, really hard to not even hide, but just like operate on the table with that many big bases, especially when a lot of them are vehicles. I think those kind of lists will really need to like limit the number of buggies and trucks they're running. But I think a list in that are trying to do the same thing as speed mob, right? Like maybe you're not running Tide with quite as many 20-man squads, but you grab just a shitload of other units and you just use them to jam up your opponent and gunk them up and make you even harder to interact with as you're scoring all the points available to you. So yeah, I think that's very, very strong.
I think, yeah, in a teams event, you probably just try and make a list that like always scores pretty high no matter what you throw into. That'd be what I would look first, like you said. Like, if you have a hard matchup, you try and make that close to a draw, or you give it an easier matchup, and then it's just like an auto 20 probably. Yeah, just scores good. I wouldn't take Bully Boys in teams. I think I would take like Green Tide. Not that Bully Boys are bad in teams. I just think like, you could like really like dial in some crazy strengths of like Green Tide in a team environment, which is exciting.
Yeah, I suspect as Bully Boys become a pretty dominant force in the meta, a lot of teams are going to be showing up with one or two hard counters for them once you can figure out whatever that is. So switching to something that is maybe 80% as powerful, but doesn't have those same weaknesses could be a pretty valuable asset.
Or you could do Bully Boys still, but like I would do like 60 boys and war bosses and battle wagons, like, but probably not like just mass knobs.
That's fun. Yeah. Cool. Different quick question from McCorp here. How many mans are we putting in a unit? Do you want 5 if in a truck? Fewer than that with Gaz, like Gaz in 2 fits in a wagon, I think, or just go for the full 18. We've talked about this at length, unless you guys have more you want to comment on it.
No, I mean, just in case they missed the rest of the episode, but are tuning in for their question. You could do 3 squads of 6 in trucks without a boss. You could do 3x5. And with Gaz, I would probably run 6 right now on foot. But that might change. Yeah.
Just go get him, brother.
Yep.
Cool. Another starter outer, kind of asking a combination of 2 questions here. What seems like the best attachment to be building around if you're just getting started with orcs at the moment?
I actually think War Tribe is still probably the best one, just because it does everything very well. Like it does resilience well, it does damage well. The buffs to Mega Knobs, like Mega Knobs, you don't need to play them in Bully Boys, right? Like 6's Explode Mega Knobs with the durability from the new Field of Pain are still insane. And now your Gaskell unit, you don't just get to like cower with it behind a corner being like, please don't shoot and grenade me. You can just run it into the middle of the board and be like, yeah, bitch, I'm camped on this middle objective. Come deal with me, or I'm scoring all the primary.
Yeah, I think it's just really sick. It
depends on what I think War Tribe, just because it does everything well.
Yeah, I think it depends on like what you mean by like looking to start orcs. If like looking to start orcs means like crushing in the tournament circuit for like 4 months, then Bully Boys. But I think like whatever you buy for Warhorde will age the best out of any detachment. Like that's just like stuff that will be good for a long time and has been good for a long time, like all of 10th. And I feel like they're trying to define like what a generic orc is and like what the generic orc archetype is, and that is like Warhorde, and that is something probably that like as long as orcs are playable, will have like something in it. Like I think the units you get will have like a longer shelf life. Also, just avoid anything that is potentially going to be phased out, which is like mostly gone in this book. But yeah, like any like model where you're like, this seems hard to acquire and maybe resin is like a bad bet.
Yeah, if someone offers you 18 grot tanks at an exorbitant price that are real Forge World,
yeah, great
probably
example
decline.
of one currently relevant, but like maybe not so much in 6 months.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Yeah.
If you want to get a bunch of kids' toys or prints or whatever, grot tanks go nuts, but probably not spending the cash for the real ones. All right. Here's a question for everybody. Nick, you jump back in on this one. How much do you expect Orcs and Tau to ruin the current balance meta that Necrons have worked so meticulously to curate? Which armies are going to be disappearing and who's going to be rising up? We haven't talked about Tau a lot on the show yet, but I know that Nick is very excited about them, and they're presenting some new and interesting problems to be solving. Let's forget about the slate. Slate's going to happen at some point, but how do these newcomers rock the boat?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, Tal I can't really speak to, but I think Orcs, you're gonna see a lot of bully boy lists, a lot of people trying to like counter them with like anything that stops melee stuff conventionally, right? Which is like, as I said earlier, I think like Nurglings are great. I can see Chaos arriving at something kind of cool. I can definitely see Death Guard arriving at something that's pretty good into them. I think if you just kind of roll up with like Mortarion into Boyz, it's very much a game now. But if you like tech your list enough, like you can probably give them a really hard time. Death Guard have often been a hard matchup for WAAGH Tribe now Warhorde this edition. So I think that'll still be the case for Bully Boys. But I think it's different in that you have 2 turns of WAAGH, right? Or 2 battle rounds of WAAGH rather. So like if your opponent is good, they'll probably be able to stage like killing those screens and then doing a second one, but it'll make it like a real game. I think anything that slows units is going to be good too against Orcs. But I think like against Orcs is so complicated because as we just covered, there's 6 detachments that are all good. So like it'll probably keep evolving. But if you mean like what's most popular in Orcs, it's going to be Bully Boys. And that's what I would do. Yeah. And I think like it's going to arrive at a weird place. I think the meta is also already kind of in a weird place in that like it is very balanced, but like because of that, you can't just be like, wow, everybody's playing rock. I guess I'll buy a paper army. It's just like there's a lot of variables to account for. I think that's like, yeah, you just even more complicated Orcs and Tau now. So
I think that from some of these top armies, Orcs, Bully Boys in particular, have a lot of the tools to deal with Can Court, who are kind of the bad at the big bad at the moment. Just having a lot of really durable, hard to move guys with characters to challenge out technomancers and take up a lot of space.
Yeah,
like that seems like the kind of things that Can Court is gonna struggle with. So I think that there may be some meta pressure, and then also, like I said, to ignore the slate, but the slate is coming in, and it's coming for the Necrons. So Necrons might drop like a rock if they get stuck between that rock and hard place there. So with that happening and the bottom getting taken out of Custodes, like there's definitely a power vacuum that Orcs are looking to fill here, and Tau as well. So I'm very curious to see if they just take on a new duopoly, or if it turns out that things go real crazy and someone we don't like Sisters might come out on top at this point. An Infinite Trash Army seems good into Orcs and also good into screening out a lot of Tau. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. That's my sleeper pick, is that Sisters are going to end up on top here. But
I can see that.
There's
I think
a
like
lot of unknowns.
Yeah, I can see Sisters doing that, but then like I think you just like rotate what flavor of Orc you're doing into something that they have a harder time dealing with. Like I don't know if Sisters can kill like a really efficient Dread Mob army, or like I think like Green Tide might be annoying for them too potentially.
Yeah.
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 You have thoughts on this, Nick?
Yeah, I think we're about to enter a moment where it's like historically Tau are the fast shooting army, and with Montka they're going to be that again. And Orcs are very good pressure army, right? Especially with 2 turns of WAAGH. And Montka does have Alpha Strike potential, right? But it's also a fantastic like hit you on turn 2 and turn 3 with like the auto advance 6. Orcs are a fantastic turn 2, turn 3 army, especially Bully Boys. These 2 armies coming into the meta, it's going to be a lot of like very carefully measuring threat ranges, and at least in Tau, line of sight again. Armies that are like weak to that sort of thing, like good pressure and like fast shooting, are going to have a hard time. I know you're saying Court is going to have a rough time into Orcs. I agree. I also think like T-Suns are seeing a resurgence, and they are probably going to have a hard time into both Tau and Orcs. I think current Orcs are really good into T-Suns, and I think like T-Suns do have a lot of damage, but like holy cow, Mega Armored Knobs are not like double 4 Feel No Pain turn is going to be rough. So, and then going back to Tau, right? The advance and shoot rubrics are slow. Magnus's wings poke out, right? If you just catch a beat on him with a unit that just like blasts it around a corner and can see him, bummer. Magnus, take 10 damage. Cool. So,
yeah. I suspect that in general, right, the current meta has been very push forward, very violent between Wolf Jail and 18 Wraiths and Custodes, just like a lot of jamming shit forward. And it seems like we're moving into a different era of jamming shit forward. I don't think the game is going to feel very different at all. It's just the particular factions that are doing it are going to change. So the specifics and the minutiae are going to be a little different, but we'll see.
Yeah. The big benefit Orcs have is cheap transports, right? Which is like difficult for some armies to deal with, right? Like Tau might be fantastic at cracking the transports, but then might not have enough gas to get the guys inside. World Eaters, right? Fantastic at cracking cars, might not be able to get the guys inside, right? So I think that's where Orcs are like kind of slated to be pretty good pressure-wise.
Sweet. We have talked about war bosses versus big mechs and mega knobs enough. But what about weapon options? Are we taking all saws here? Are we taking claws? What's going on with the mans?
Claws seem fine. I don't hate claws. I think I'm going to take saws for the most part.
I think saws as well.
But I think like you can make a case for claws. I can see that it just depends what other people are doing, right? But I think like twin link, 15 attacks is like probably enough. Not having sustained anymore does feel kind of bad. I can see a world in which like there's just not that much that like a strength 13 twin link thing wants to kill around, in which case maybe just some more attacks is cool. Because your main job for Mega Knobs, as far as I'm concerned, is to be a big guy that has a 4-up Feel No Pain and sits there and is like, you can't walk past me. So
without sustained hits and without devastating wounds on the wall turn, now like the damage is legitimately way down on this unit.
Yeah.
So lends additional credence to taking the mega boss, like you were saying, Tyler. But also, like if you just want more attacks to prevent people from coming, charging you, and stealing your objective, then probably the claws are the way to go. But I don't know. Yeah. The saws are such reliable damage that I think both options are good.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone will take saws though, because people are bad at change, even if it like makes sense or should be obvious. Like I'm taking saws and I'm the one saying this, so I think players are slow and you can expect saws for a long time if that's like informing your opinion at all. But saws will probably be most popular.
Solid.
They
are cool.
Sweet. They are very cool. They are less iconic though.
I'm big. All mine have claws anyways, so it doesn't matter. No one knows what orc weapons look like.
We talked about the Stompa a little earlier on, and one of the big complaints that it was 800 points. We got a question in here from Alex S. asking, how many points would the Stompa have to drop for you to consider it for a GT?
You have any thoughts on this, Tyler? I have no fucking clue.
0. He's perfect. Well, not if anyone from corporate or balanced data slate is listening, then 150. I think like 150 to 200. I think 200 is like, oh, that's a real thing. And then like 150 is like enough. Because I think he's like, there's already probably a lot of matchups where like this at 800 points is like a real nightmare. There's just also enough where like he's not a problem at all. And that's what feels bad. So I think like to balance it, you're just trying to leave like a little bit extra room to have some like fun nuggets that if your Stompa does get instant deleted, like you have a bit more of a backup plan. I think like him at 600 feels like okay to me. I think if you make him like 5 or 550, the casuals just like cry so loud that like there's like no shade to him either. But like, can you imagine like just you just army and you're like so ready to just throw like an even mix of every Marine Games Workshop has wanted you to buy from the past 2 years in the game with like some guy you just met who shows up with this guy and tells you he's like 400 points. Like I think like, well, that might make sense for like competitive. I think like, you know, Squigoff's like 440 or whatever, and I think like I don't really take one right now. like 400's fine for him in competitive context, but I think like realistically, like like 6 or 550 is probably where it's at to make it so that people who don't play this as like a full-time job can enjoy Warhammer with the Stompa and not feel too bad or too good. Yeah.
Making models that big actually competitively viable generally doesn't go well. It's usually a bad idea.
Yeah.
Jasper says that he's currently working on speed painting his orcs using your videos. He's a big fan. Shout out to him.
Thanks,
he also
Jasper.
asks about what goes in a Bully Boys list, about squigs, and about the mix of mans and knobs. We've talked about this at length. And last question here from Nick K again asks, with Gits gone, how do you approach infiltrating and scouting screens? We talked about this a little bit, but if you guys have any additional thoughts you wanted to throw at that.
You just kill them. You got 2 WAAGHs, you'll be fine. Just kill them. I think like I think flash kits are like a unit that is like great at killing screens, but like they're usually a lot of the screens you wanted to kill were like annoying for them anyways. Like just anything of like -1 to hit or like there's like a lot of stuff that I feel like flash kits already didn't want to kill as screens. So I think you just gotta kind of 4D chess spraying your way around screens. And that's it. I think
like rip off the band-aid and accept the bad trade. Because a lot of people are like, they'll take 2 units of scouts or 30 Kasserkin or insert the couple of 2 or 3 screening units that people are putting in their armies. But like you'll take a trade down while you're like killing them with Boyz or your 5-man knob squads go out and do it, or you throw out mega knobs, they kill a screen, and then you pop the wasp, so they're really tough. Like that'll feel bad that you're not using those units for their intended role, or you're trading down or whatever it is that makes you feel bad about that. But like it gets rid of their screen and then it's permanently gone, and then they have to start playing the game with real units.
Yeah,
taking it down is totally fine.
Even like into guard where it's maybe not permanently gone, it's still worth it, and that's just what you have to do. Yeah, definitely. I think like trying to throw shooting into Boyz is a trap.
Thanks for the $2 super chat from our boy Max. He says R.I.P. Zagstruck.
Big sad.
But not forgotten.
Yeah.
We miss you.
Zagstruck was so cool.
Could you imagine the Warboss keyword in Storm Boys, dude? That would have been so
cool.
Yeah, that's oh man.
GW.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, we are coming in hot and fast on that 2.5-hour mark, boys. So I think it's probably about time to wrap it up. Do any of y'all have any last thoughts on works that we didn't get a chance to cover today that you want to put out looking forward to?
They're great. Have fun. Everyone should play a different. I feel like the U.S. government should assign orc players a different faction that they have to try really hard to play.
It's like the draft. It's your birthday. This is your orc subsection.
Yeah. I think we need more variety, and I'll try and do that. But we'll probably, much like most governments, tell you to do something different than what I actually end up doing, and I'll be playing Boyz, and you'll be stuck, baby. But they're all great. Have fun. It's the best codex of 10th, I think, and not just because it's powerful, because it's sick and awesome, and there's a lot of.
It's a huge flavor one.
Yeah, totally.
As far as flavor goes, this is the best codex of 10th, and it's not close.
Yeah, totally.
Massive thumbs up. We'll see. We'll see how the points shake out.
Yeah, insane admech exists in this game as well.
Sweet. One more time before we sign off for the week, Tyler. Where can other people find you on the internet if they are looking to hear more from you or see some of your work?
Oh, you can find me on any website that has usernames for the most part as $1 Billion Clown Farm. My name is Tyler, and if you go to youtube.com and type in $1 Billion Clown Farm, you'll find me there. Instagram, X/Twitter, etc.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, OnlyFans. Maybe someday. Patreon. You just give me money and not watch my content. That's fine too. Whatever you want. $1 Billion Clown Farm. That's me.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Tyler. Again, if you were looking for any of those sweet deals from any of our sponsors, check the description below. We really appreciate it. Make sure to interact on all of the platform you may be doing. Reviews are big. Likes, comments, and shares are big on the YouTube. But with that all being said and done, thank you so much for joining us. I've been Tyler.
I've been Tyler.
He has been as well. Shit.
Yeah. I've been Nick.
I'm Lucas, the biggest boss.
And back in 2 weeks for a breakdown of the Tau Tipping GT that we'll be covering next weekend up in Hope Game. It's going to be a little more casual, but it should be a good one. Look forward to more Orky content, everything mean green, under the sun, right here. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Can I still see us? What's going on here? We're just like, just rock music playing. And
Yeah, we're just vibing. We're not supposed to talk